in central Illinois to help meet that goal. Company spokesperson says the investment will speed up production of electric delivery vehicles. Tickets for Bulls games go on sale today. Fans can begin purchasing tickets for all regular season home games around 11 a.m. Matt Carpenter, the go-ahead home run in the top of the 10th. Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-4-10 at Wrigley Field. Craig Kimbrell tagged with the loss. The Northsiders slip one game back of the second-place Brewers, who now have control of the National League's second wild card seed. Sox visit the Tigers tonight. Fighting Illini open Big Ten play tomorrow in football, hosting Nebraska, while our NIU Huskies have earned the weekend off. The news service of LifeLock with Norton. No one wants to wake up to find that they're the victim of identity theft or that malware is compromising their smartphone. LifeLock with Norton now includes protection for identity and devices. A limited time offer, 30% off your first year, ends October 6th. Join at lifelock.com, promo code RISK. 507, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees nothing but drama from the left.
The hysteria, everything on the left is hysteria because they're children. If you don't understand that there's an infantilization of the human being that is endemic to leftism, it's an immaturity. Can you name a single subject they talk about that does not involve their being hysterical?
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Deb, I'm so done with today. Traffic was awful. I couldn't stop for coffee. I have conference calls all morning, plus all these reports to go through. And look, it's 75 and sunny, and I'm stuck in here.
Relax. It's going to be an awesome day. Corporate is throwing a picnic in the parking lot for lunch, and they ordered tasty catering.
What? Did I miss the memo?
Apparently. It's going to be great. They got burgers, grilled chicken, sides, the works. You know, Tasty Catering's picnic food is excellent.
Oh, yeah, I know. We had them for our holiday party.
Today, they're bringing out the Make Your Own Burger Creation Station. They have everything you can think of, like sriracha, blue cheese crumbles, bacon, sautéed mushrooms, and caramelized onions. And they serve it straight off the grill, the way a great burger should be.
Okay, maybe there's still hope for today. I just hope I don't spill mustard on this new tie. Good thing I've got my bib.
You have a bib?
You don't?
Tasty Catering's picnic menu has all the delicious summertime food favorites you crave and more. Go to tastycatering.com to peruse mouth-watering picnic menus and start planning your picnic today. tastycatering.com.
Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire.
5:10 AM 560 Traffic Center time and the very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Well, the outbound Ryan remains closed in the local lanes from the Stevens into 33rd Street. Traffic is diverted into the express lanes. Closures due to a semi at the wall. There's extensive damage to concrete, leaning light pole, and the ramp from the outbound Stevens into the outbound Ryan is blocked as well because of this. Kennedy, things look okay right now. The exit to the outbound Eisenhower is set to reopen after some overnight work. The outbound Eisenhower and Ida B. Wells are closed. Wells to Burn Circle. Lanes should open there shortly as well. Tollways look good this morning. Right now, we have no problem to report in northwest Indiana. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy, warm, and humid. The high today, 84. Clear to partly cloudy, warm, and humid tonight, low 68. A blend of sun and clouds, breezy, humid day tomorrow. Shower and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, a high 79. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
68 degrees at O'Hare, 67 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Raymond Denon, Vice President of Optima Tax Relief. If you're in debt to the IRS, there's a lot you need to know. Starting with rule number 1, don't mess with the IRS. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, even take your home or business. That's all true. But it's also true that there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. It's one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, even tens of thousands. Nobody knows this program like us, the experts at Optima Tax Relief. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we've resolved over $500 million in tax debt for our clients. We'll stand between you and the IRS and fight to get you the best deal possible. Don't mess with the IRS. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima for a free consultation.
Call 800-367-6289. 800-367-6289. 800-367-6289.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Greek philosopher Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Get ready to step away from the busyness of life at a thought-provoking and entertaining evening, October 8th at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center, when World Leaders Forum presents Caroline Kennedy, a Socrates in the City conversation. Caroline, an author, diplomat, and former U.S. ambassador to Japan, will keynote the 8th World Leaders Forum on October 8th. The discussion will be led by best-selling author and Salem radio host Eric Metaxas, a part of his acclaimed series of conversations designed to have some fun finding the answer to life's biggest questions. World Leaders Forum brings recognized world leaders to the Judson University campus each year to inspire and ignite a flame of leadership for all who attend. Proceeds fund Judson University's leadership scholarships and programs that benefit the higher education of youth in foster care. Tickets for the October 8th event are available now at worldleadersforum.info. That's worldleadersforum.info.
It's Health Quest Radio, Chicagoland's longest-running health, news, and science show with your host, Dr. David Kolbaba.
You know, people who age slower live longer. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. We can compare your biologic age with your chronologic age to determine how fast you're aging. Just a few seconds to safely scan for those advanced glycation end products that cause premature aging. And I'll pay for your first assessment. That's right, your first one is free. Then we'll give you a few things to do and retest in 60 days. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. But you gotta call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. First one free if you make that call right now. Some conditions and restrictions to apply. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. Call 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
The kids grew up so fast. Hard to believe it's been over 20 years since you were playing catch in the backyard or showing your youngest around the kitchen. Lots of memories in this house. But maybe it's time to make new memories in a house that's more suited to your current lifestyle. McNaughton Development brings all the quality, style, and upscale details you love in your current home in a custom home that better suits your present needs. You don't have to scale down and sacrifice everything you love in the home where your kids grew up. With McNaughton, you get the highest quality custom residential construction with exclusive amenities. Right now, McNaughton is building Lakeside Point of Burr Ridge. It's a community with 44 home sites in the heart of the Burr Ridge Village Center, featuring 7 refined ranch and first-floor master 2-story floor plans. You can walk to the finest restaurants and shops in Burr Ridge and enjoy maintenance-free living in a park setting with natural lake. Now through September 30th, save $25,000 off options and $25,000 off lower level. Learn more. Visit McNaughtonDevelopment.com. Tom Killeran Photography is ready to memorialize your next event with photos that come to life and preserve the memories for generations. They can accommodate your large group photos to individual portraits, wallet size to panoramic. They can even print your photos on location as a take-home keepsake for your party guests. Visit KilleranPhotography.com. AM 560 The Answer hired Tom Killeran Photography for our annual charity golf outing, and the finished product was amazing. Book Tom Killeran Photography for your upcoming corporate event, family reunion, wedding, bar mitzvah, or any event you want to capture forever. And those old family videos you have on VHS tape, it's time to preserve them forever. Tom Killeran Photography can transfer your beloved memories to DVD and can restore your older faded photos or enlarge them. Visit KilleranPhotography.com. KilleranPhotography.com. KILLORAN Photography.com.
Hey, if you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, then dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, and your dental health. Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what are you waiting for? Find out now if implants are for you. Successful implants don't come from an implant factory. Skill, treatment, installation, those are the main differences for successful lifelong implants. That's why you need to see Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Neruzzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants themselves. You need the experience, the skill, and honesty that over 25 years of dental implants brings, and you're going to be happy with your implant. It's not a mass production procedure because everyone is different. And Dr. Neruzzi wants to talk to you about dental implants today.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics at 630-232-7400. They're online at implantsforme.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So it turns out that Justin Trudeau has spent more of his life in blackface than Michael Jackson did.
Hey-oh.
Thank you very much.
There's a third incident.
Video of him in full, parody garb, sticking his tongue out, wearing dark makeup. This, in addition to the other two that were on Earth.
You forgot his hands were up in the air, too. It was that Day-O skit that they did in high school? He and his buddies. I don't know if you saw the video. There's no audio associated with it, but they made this video for their high school talent show.
So that was the Day-O photo came out yesterday. That was the video of that associated with the photo.
Yeah. And then there's a third time too, but
that is the third time.
That's the third time. Then what's the second time?
Okay, let's take it from the top.
Yeah.
2001, wearing brown face as part of an Aladdin costume. Second photo published of him wearing blackface to sing the Jamaican folk song Day-O. Apologies to Harry Belafonte. Third video of him sticking his tongue out wearing dark makeup. So I don't know that the third has anything to do with the second. And neither does Justin Trudeau, who can't figure out how many times and how much of his life he spent in blackface. So he offered a fresh genuflection before the mob yesterday.
I want to begin by saying a few words directly to racialized Canadians who face discrimination every single day in their lives, even in a country like Canada. What I did hurt them, hurt people who shouldn't have to face intolerance and discrimination because of their identity. This is something that I deeply, deeply regret. Darkening your face, regardless of the context or the circumstances, is always unacceptable because of the racist history of blackface. I should have understood that then, and I never should have done it.
Darkening your face is always unacceptable. If only somebody would have told Ted Danson that.
It's unfortunate. So Justin Trudeau is just like the perfect person to have this whole saga visit itself upon. He's the son of a prime minister. He's this effete metrosexual fop who is wholly on board with all of the cultural Marxist strictures, because that's what gives him political identity, and the political identity gives him a human identity. So to watch his self-immolation over something where he would be lighting the fire where it's someone else, I don't know. It's a bit of cosmic justice for me.
And he went to such great lengths. I mean, at the Aladdin party, nobody else wore a studded turban like he did, and then he painted his hands too. And in that third video, he painted his arms his entire arms in black with black makeup. So he seems to be a pro at this. And I don't know if his dad's the prime minister, why he thought that was okay to dress like that. You know, I mean, you'd think that he was under, a watchful eye since his dad was the prime minister of Canada, that he'd behave differently, but he didn't do it. But is this going to cost him the election? And should it?
Well, it's a close race. I mean, he was having some problems. His popularity had dipped significantly before these photos and videos came out. So I don't know that Scheer, the Conservative Party candidate, has 30 days to take full advantage and see. And oh, by the way, I mean, some of this is out of his control. Now you've got the jackals in the press corps scouring Justin Trudeau's every waking moment on the earth to see if they can find yet another picture or video or witnesses to an incident that will further the story, so that we can get more apologies from Justin Trudeau, because that's really what the focus is. It's sort of now the Marxist minders, demanding that you bend the knee, and that's what Justin Trudeau, of course, is more than willing to do. It's interesting. It's if you compare it to the Ralph Northam situation, the Megyn Kelly situation, where that was just a discussion about the topic. That wasn't anything that Megyn Kelly had actually done, and how this is being received. I go back. We mentioned it yesterday. The heartfelt Justin Trudeau apologist, being a fellow traveler and all, that was good enough for Don Lemon on CNN. That's, wow, for a head of state to make an apology like that. That's really something.
So courageous of him.
Let's all move on. The way that we moved on from Ralph Northam. Now, had that been somebody that was not a fellow traveler of the prevailing ideology of the D.C. press corps,
it would have been eviscerated.
Yeah, and it would take someone who is either predisposed or who has learned through doing to offer no deference to the Marxists to survive. Someone like Trump. Carl on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I think it's a non-issue. He was a drama queen. I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody, but he was a drama queen back then, and he went full garb. Look, 5 years ago, I dressed as Hitler for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And the irony of this is some girl and her boyfriend, he was the pimp priest, and she was a slutty nun, and she was offended by me being Hitler. That's irony. But it's okay to do that kind of stuff. But anybody else is off limits.
Carl, can I ask why you chose Hitler for your Halloween costume?
Pushing the envelope. Everything else is unacceptable. You can't be a homeless guy. You can't do the hobo thing anymore because, that offends homeless people. I didn't think Hitler would offend anybody because, Hitler's a bad guy. I mean, I did full mustache, the hat, everything.
Wow. All right. Thanks for the call, Carl.
Trick-or-treating in your neighborhood.
Yeah. I wouldn't consider running for office anytime soon, Carl.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560. The Answer.
Nothing speaks louder about an auto dealer than a happy customer. And at Joe Cotton Ford, they have many.
I had a 2001 Excursion, was about 6 months old. We got T-boned, $29,000 worth of damage, bent the frame. after a few months, got it back from you guys, and it actually drove and rode better than when I got it from the factory. Well, service visits are always top notch. You know, your service department, starting with Dave and going down all your service riders, are just amazing.
Another reason why folks keep coming back to Joe Cotton Ford. It's Truck Month at Joe Cotton Ford. Get a great deal on an F-150, the best-selling truck for 42 straight years. Joe Cotton Ford has over 40 F-150s to choose from, with up to $15,000 off XLT crew cabs. All built Ford proud, built Ford tough. All incentives applied. Stock number T9205. Celebrate Truck Month at Joe Cotton Ford, Gary and North Avenue in Carroll Stream, or at joecottonford.com. joecottonford.com.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting RADIO to 350-350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds, and the LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes. And best of all, most patients can get back to work the following day.
I had no idea.
The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision. We've performed over 1.3 million procedures. That's experience you can trust. And we're offering 20% off our already low-cost services.
What's that text again?
Text RADIO to 350-350. That's RADIO to 350-350 to schedule your free consultation today.
What's the best way to find a new restaurant? Friends invite you or people tell you about it. I'm Tom Manos from Exchequer Restaurant and Pub on Wabash in the Loop. Now that we know each other, I'm going to invite you to our place. Exchequer Pub is a place that friends can get together. Great for a date, great for a special occasion. A historic but comfortable place with really good food. How good? Go to our site, look at the reviews, our famous pizza, ribs, burgers, ribeyes, chef specialties, and more. It's our 50th year, and we're having great specials to celebrate all year long. A great reason to check us out. Exchequer, not an easy name to remember, so we made it easier. TheCheckInTheLoop.com. You'll find the story behind the name, too. As my brother George says, it took us 50 years to become an overnight success. We're in the heart of the Loop on Wabash, close to the Art Institute. Discount parking, too. So come on in. It's time to check out Exchequer. CheckInTheLoop.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank. I'd like to thank our customers for selecting Signature as their trusted banking partner to help build their businesses. We started Signature in 2006, and we've had the opportunity to meet so many hardworking Chicagoans. From third-generation family-owned businesses on the west side of Chicago to tech innovators at 1871. Signature Bank is proud to work across many different industries in the city and beyond. As the fastest-growing, independently owned business bank in Chicago, Signature is always welcoming new customers. I'd love to meet you and learn about your business.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about Peter O'Toole impersonator and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Scott in Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, I just wanted to bring up this issue that we're even talking about. I think the reason the right's only even talking about it is because they're holding the left to their own set of rules. I mean, look, if this really mattered, I mean, I think Saturday Night Live would apologize themselves right out of business because they should apologize for every single week. And not only for blackface, but, you know, I mean, where does it end? Men dressing as women, women dressing as men, you know, especially on shows like that. I mean,
John Belushi dressing as a samurai. Right, exactly. Thanks for the call, Scott. Dan in Libertyville.
Thanks for taking my call. I find this whole thing really amusing because it's so ridiculous. Let's go back in history. Boston Tea Party. Our patriots dressed up as Indians. Was that culture appropriation to go and, you know, dump the Boston's tea out from the English? Now, one What about World War II, the paratroopers?
Not exactly.
Every paratrooper painted his face black.
Yeah,
Okay?
not exactly the
Does that make
same
him black?
thing. It wasn't to make a spectacle at a party, at a mixer. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Deo.
Yeah.
But let's go further. How about Hamilton? A black guy plays Hamilton. Should I be offended that a black man's playing Hamilton? Is that cultural appropriation? How about the latest president of NAACP who's white and claims he's black? I mean, let's get real.
Yeah, I hear you. Thanks for the call, Dan.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Philip Mudd, an intelligence analyst on CNN, was about to lose his business over the reporting on this whistleblower complaint filed against one President Trump. We'll discuss at 5:38.
And new information about Dr. Klofer. Apparently, he gave abortions to 10-year-old girls. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
67 degrees and more than 2,000 nurses this morning at the University of Chicago Medical Center are expected to throw up picket lines. A one-day strike begins this morning at about 7 a.m. Federal judge in California stopping the state's new law that would force presidential candidates to release their tax returns to get their names on state election ballots. Democrat presidential candidates spoke on climate change at a one-day forum, including Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
We are facing an unprecedented global crisis. It disturbs me very, very much that we have a president who believes that climate change is a hoax.
A mysterious whistleblower complaint saga continues with word that the promise the president allegedly made did involve Ukraine. It's not clear whether Ukraine's leader was involved, but the Washington Post is reporting that the president did speak with Ukraine's president just weeks before the complaint was filed. Remnants of tropical depression Imelda leaving parts of East Texas facing disastrous flooding conditions. Erica Zamora lives in Winnie, Texas.
During Harvey, it wasn't like that. We were able to get out. And this way, we weren't able to leave. We weren't able to get out.
At least 2 people have been killed. Thursday saw around 1,700 rescues. At least 100 are safe after they became trapped on a stalled monorail at the Walt Disney World Resort last night. Monorail lost power just after leaving the Ticket and Transportation Center. Day 5 of the General Motors strike. Nearly 50,000 walked off the job about a week ago. Progress is being made. Indiana's Attorney General will step into the investigation. Thousands of aborted remains found in Illinois. The AG has a news conference scheduled for 11 this morning to update the Indiana case. Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow says Illinois authorities are still gathering all the information they can.
I have no evidence to indicate any criminal activity at that house other than potentially the existence of the evidence that we found.
James Glasgow, the AG for Will County. Chicago sports, Matt Carpenter, the go-ahead home run at the top of the 10th. Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-4 in 10 innings at Wrigley Field. Northsiders slip one game back of the second-place Brewers, and the Brewers now have control of the NL's second wild card. White Sox visit the Tigers later tonight. 5:34 is our time, and we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees Trump helping minorities.
More than 80% of the new jobs created under Donald Trump have gone to, if you can believe it, minorities. Oh, I thought Republicans hated minorities. I thought Republicans are racist and they're sexist and they're homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and they keep saying racist, racist, racist. Which one are you looking at?
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Ever wonder why Europeans speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons and award-winning technology can have you speaking Spanish, French, or German within weeks.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Now, try Babbel free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try for free.
We're back on TV and bigger than ever.
Folks just love our incredible deals.
Just yesterday, I got attacked by paparazzi.
Really?
But I think the groupies are the worst.
Wait, groupies?
I know, right. All the Highland Park groupies we have now.
I think you're sniffing too much tiger hair.
I think you're right.
Lease a 2019 Lincoln MKC full power 4-door for just $399 a month and zero due at signing. Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore.
We're Al and Marty. Deal with us.
You're ready to sell or list your home. You live in the western suburbs. Now, the question that means thousands of dollars. Who is going to help you get it done?
Call the Ivis team. I'm Diana Ivis. Chuck and I are ready to help you get top dollar in a buyer's market. I know, everyone says that, but we have the tools, the history, and the unique skills to get it done. We also are staging experts. Chuck knows every detail of a home, seeing things others don't. Best thing to do is call us, interview us, see if we're a match. And here's our special offer. We will give you a free pre-inspection with a licensed inspector, so no surprises when the buyer does their inspection. The Ivis team is your advantage. Big or small, we sell them all. Let's get yours sold at a price that makes you happy.
The Ivis team, 630-939-5555. 630-939-5555.
Member of Berkshire Hathaway. Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
5:36 AM 560 traffic center time. Here is Jim Telemonte.
CTA Red Line trains being rerouted right now from the subway to the elevated tracks between Fullerton and Chinatown. It's due to an earlier incident involving an unauthorized person on the tracks near Grand Avenue. The outbound Ryan still has a closure of the local lanes from the Stevenson to 33rd to a major wreck involving a semi. There's damage there to the concrete in the area. A leaning light pole, so traffic is forced into the express lanes on the outbound Ryan, and the ramp from the outbound Stevenson to the outbound Ryan is closed because of this. Now seeing some mild delays on the inbound Stevenson, Pulaski to Kedzie. The inbound Ryan, Roosevelt to downtown. That's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. More clouds than sun today. Very warm and humid, high 84. Warm and humid, 68 overnight. Currently 67 degrees. Next news coming up at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with Stephen Leahy. Every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the latest drama surrounding President Trump is the report of a whistleblower complaint that is triggering a bit of a showdown between the U.S. intel community and, of course, Democrats on the Hill. And it involves, apparently, Washington Post reporting, President Trump's communication with the Ukrainian president. Washington Post citing sources who asserted that the discussion was related to Ukraine. Trump spoke to the new Ukrainian president, Zelensky, 2.5 weeks before this complaint was given to the intelligence community's Inspector General Michael Atkinson. This is back on August 12th. And the Democrat-led House Intelligence Committee, that's, of course, chaired by Congressman Adam Schiff, Democrat, who represents Area 51, was already investigating this call as part of an inquiry into whether Trump and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, had attempted to improperly pressure the Ukrainian government to assist the president's re-election campaign by investigating the ties of former VP and Joe Biden and his son, Hunter, with respect to an energy company that's owned by a Ukrainian oligarch. So you got all that? Bottom line is the question of this whistleblower complaint filed against the president and what, if anything, should be done with it, starting with making it public. So the aforesaid Adam Schiff weighed in with his perspective, which will come as no surprise to our listeners.
We do know that the Department of Justice has been involved in the decision to withhold that information from Congress. We do not know, because we cannot get an answer to the question about whether the White House is also involved in preventing this information from coming to Congress. We do not have the complaint. We do not know whether the press reports are accurate or inaccurate about the contents of that complaint. But what I do know is this: if in a matter within the jurisdiction of the Director of National Intelligence, you have an employee of that community or a contractor or detailee who follows the law and makes a complaint, and it is possible for the subject of that complaint to essentially quash the complaint or keep it from Congress, then this system is badly broken. Now, I don't think this is a problem of the law. I think the law is written very clearly. I think the law is just fine. The problem lies elsewhere. And we're determined to do everything we can to determine what this urgent concern is, to make sure that the national security is protected, and to make sure that this whistleblower is protected.
Trump tweeting in response to the Washington Post story. Another fake news story out there. It never ends. Virtually anytime I speak on the phone to a foreign leader, I understand that there may be people listening from various U.S. agencies, not to mention those from the other country itself. No problem. I would never be inappropriate on a heavily populated call with a foreign leader, said President Trump. And for a bit of a objective third party, not a totally objective, but a third party perspective on this, Phil Mudd, who's a CNN counterterrorism analyst and a CIA veteran, it was interesting his reaction to this controversy on CNN last night with Fredo.
Boy, I'm about ready to blow a gasket. Can you explain? That is extremely unusual. And I listened to presidential phone calls when I was an official at the White House under George W. Bush in 2001. Can you explain to me, A, why it's the U.S. intelligence community's responsibility to listen to the president of the United States speaking to a foreign leader, and B, why the U.S. intelligence community, under the rules provided by the Democrats in Congress, are responsible to report to the Congress what the President of the United States says. Last I checked, Chris, when I served, we're responsible for chasing the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, and terrorists. We're not responsible for reporting to the Congress what the President says. He can say what he wants, Chris.
So you don't like that somebody snitched on the President?
Correct. The question, if you have a whistleblower issue in the intelligence community, might be, is somebody misusing funds? For example, is somebody seeing something about covert action overseas, that is CIA operations overseas, that's inappropriate? For example, when I was in the business, we ran black sites, secret facilities. Mm-hmm. Did somebody see something that was not only unethical and immoral, but
in-house
illegal?
Policing.
Correct.
All right. So
not what does the president say?
All right, but now hold on a second. Well, what if he did say something to a foreign leader that sounded like a promise that went over the line enough that somebody of good conscience said he's not supposed to say things like this?
Well, pardon me, what the heck is over the line? The president can say what he wants to Putin. He can say what he wants to Kim Jong-un. He can say to Kim Jong-un, which I think is completely over the top, I'm going to go meet you in the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, despite the fact that we don't have any real agreements, as far as I can tell, on nukes and missiles. The president can say what he wants. It's not the responsibility of the intel guys to go police the president and go snitch on him to the Congress.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, Turnkey.pro text line. Do you agree with Philip Mudd that intel snitches should get stitches?
Oh, yeah. It's a President Trump, and now they're saying that it was he was on the phone with the Ukrainian president and all this and other world leaders. And here's the reporter, though. Listen to the reporter from the Washington Post, Ellen Norkinska, who got the tip.
We don't know the nature of the promise, but it was of sufficient concern. It was troubling enough that the intelligence community official who learned of it felt compelled to lodge a complaint with the Inspector General of the intelligence community. And he did this in August. So, it wasn't too long ago. And if it was Putin, it was only a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah, they're saying Putin, Ukrainian president. It sounds and smells to me like another witch hunt, doesn't it?
Well, I also don't accept the premise that it was necessarily sufficiently concerning to this unnamed Intel official to file the whistleblower complaint. What if it's just an opportunity for someone in the intelligence community who wants to see Trump de-elected in 2020 to file a complaint?
Yep.
The problem you have now, and this is the result of the conduct of the John Brennans and the John Clappers of the world, is you don't have faith in these intelligence communities. You don't have faith in the FBI because of how politicized the leadership of those agencies was under the previous president, under the Obama administration. And so, you're going to give me an unnamed. I mean, of course, but that's the point of a whistleblower, is the anonymity, the protection. But you're going to give me a whistleblower complaint reported by the Washington Post, and I'm supposed to start by accepting all the premises of the reporting on this topic? No, I don't think so. I'm not going to. I'm not going to, because you propped up people who were propagandists, DC Press Corps, and I'm talking about John Brennan specifically. Reformed communist John Brennan. This is a big problem. Here's something else, too. Let's say that the reporting on this is correct, and that this was the initial reporting of the House Intel looking at the Trump administration trying to influence the newly installed Ukrainian president to investigate, provide more information about Joe Biden's intervention in a investigation into an energy company in Ukraine in which his son Hunter had an interest. Let's say that the administration was doing that, and that this was some sort of follow-up. Oh, heavens. Are we politicizing agencies of the state to try to influence the outcome of a presidential election? Oh, heavens.
That's what people do. I mean, Rudy Giuliani was on with Chris Cuomo.
I don't care about Rudy Giuliani. I'm talking about what happened in 2016. What happened in 2016, you don't want a reckoning for what happened in 2016 at FBI and CIA, but we're supposed to run around with our hair on fire and, indulge people beating their chests about some whistleblower complaint that insinuates that President Trump and his emissaries may have been trying to influence the new president of Ukraine for, at least in part, political reasons. Oh, heavens. If you want to set a standard and then apply it equally, let's do that. If you want to cherry pick, I'm not going to be on board. Go pound sand. Adam Schiff, CNN, you have no moral standing to make this call. People who believe in the rule of law have moral standing to make the call. People who believe that intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies shouldn't be politicized and weaponized for use by one party against the other. You set the precedent with what happened in 2016, and you continue to by refusing any assistance in accountability for bad actors and their bad actions in 2016.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
Tom in Deer Park.
Yeah, everything is very complicated for us citizens. What filters down to us, we have to decide what's important, what we can understand, and what's beyond our comprehension. But to me, it's just another day in the Trump administration. And Amy touched on Rudy Giuliani, what he said with the Fredo interview last night, of just rampant incompetence in this administration. And the good people seem to leave, and the bad people seem to stick around, and they get more bad people. How, as citizens, are we supposed to discern? You covered on your show. We can do all the reading in that, but until the conservative movement decides that they've had enough of this nonsense.
Well, what nonsense here? We don't even know. Even the Washington Post reporting on this concedes what they don't know, And so how do we know that there's incompetence at all? How do we not know that there's just political skullduggery afoot? How do you know? I don't know. And I don't trust the sources. And I don't trust the sources. And neither should you. We have a whistleblower who actually came forward and wrote a book. His name is Peter Schweitzer. How interested is Adam Schiff about what Peter Schweitzer wrote about with respect to Joe Biden as the sitting vice president of the United States and the enrichment of Joe Biden's son, in part because of his apparent actions to intercede in Ukraine with respect to their investigation into an energy company that Hunter had an interest in?
I say get him, Dan. If anything, over the last 3 years, I've become so unpartisan. I just want to see what's done right for the country. And we can still have our ideologies, but it's the acceptance. And no, there's no doubt about the media. We're in this situation because people don't trust it. But now we have a right-wing media that does the same stuff that the Post and the Times have been doing for 40 years. So I'm just
well, I understand.
I just want to see things right.
I understand. Thanks for the call, Tom. I understand. But how do we get there? You don't get there by erasing all the standards and saying that we're going to redraw them for you, because you don't have legitimacy to redraw those lines. That's the problem. And this is the problem here. Vince in Waukegan.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Yeah, one, it's kind of disturbing that the intelligence community is listening in on all these conversations of political officials. You know, for all you know, Trump is blowing smoke. It doesn't matter, you know. I mean, having a private conversation with somebody, there's things that could be said in these to just sit there and string somebody along. And if somebody wants to take that out of context, well, yeah, that's easy to sit there and make some kind of political statement about it. But the reality is, what in the world is Washington Post doing with this information? Why is the intelligence community leaking information
I
know, to
about their spying to a newspaper? That to me is a huge issue, and somebody needs to get taken down for that alone.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, Vince. It's a good point. And by the way, as you could tell, Phil Mudd, who you heard go off on that rant on Fredo Cuomo show, I mean, he's no apologist for President Trump.
No, he's not.
He's talking about the intelligence community's roles and responsibilities and where they don't have a role and responsibility. That was his entire point. It wasn't some knee-jerk defense of Trump, to be clear. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Wow, just another example of myriads of examples of how the left-wing media and the deep state, how it exists, how tight they are, getting together. You know, this stuff here, like something like this and that, the media would have been protecting Obama. If anything Obama would have done, they probably could have a gazillion things on Obama, all the nonsense, him with his Muslim and Iranian buddies and all that kind of thing. Not a peep, but they will look for every kind of thing that would attack this president. And my point is how destructive it is to our country and to our system of justice and our political system. I mean, the leftists are just tearing and shredding up anything that's good and anything the way it's supposed to operate in the United States and everything. And you can see that media and the deep state, their government agencies and people there working together hand in hand. You know what I mean? Because Trump is basically the one single person standing in their way. Undoing all kinds of stuff that Obama had set in motion, and all this other stuff that these Reds that are in there want to take and do, like your Clappers and Brennans and stuff like that. Oh, they were having a field day with Obama there. They could get away with doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Craig. I mean, look, this is not whataboutism. This is not Trump did something bad, but what about Joe Biden who did something bad too? That's not what this is. First of all, we don't know what Trump did or didn't do. We have a complaint that
he promised some foreign leader something over the phone.
Yeah,
July.
A lot of blanks need to be filled in there, but yes, there are issues, including intelligence agents leaking to the Washington Post. That's a problem.
Yeah.
This is about saying, what are the standards? DC Press Corps. What level of interest have they shown? What reporting have they done on the Joe Biden matter with respect to Ukraine and with respect to his son? And what reporting, what posture have they taken? And they've taken a position on the weaponization and the politicization of FBI and CIA in 2016 with respect to the election. And as you see it, they continue to amplify that politicization by having people like John Brennan be analysts and cause celebs on their news networks. So you want to hold President Trump accountable under the law. So do I. Absolutely. And if, let's say that he did do something untoward, let's say that he did say something that was shockingly over the line that it triggered a legitimate concern about a willingness to violate U.S. law. Okay. There has to be equal justice under the law. And there has to be a standard by which you hold those in power accountable as it pertains to their professional responsibilities. And when you don't, you're going to get the kind of skepticism you hear from me and from our callers. And that's well-founded skepticism. So, this is another how thick is your bubble DC press corps Adam Schiff moment. How serious about the rule of law are you really? And follow this whistleblower. That's why we have whistleblower laws. Follow this whistleblower complaint. Let the Inspector General investigate to its full extent. No, I don't hear anybody trying to bury anything. But the real opportunity here is to have this larger conversation about the standards of conduct in a free society and the accountability mechanisms for agencies and individuals who have disproportionate power in a free society. That's if you're interested in keeping the society free.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Remember when you could pick up the phone and talk to a friendly voice for technical difficulties?
Yeah, now it's a help desk on the other side of the planet that knows nothing about my business and usually isn't much help at all.
I got stuck in a help chat room the other day, and it was endless back and forth. I don't think they ever really understood or cared about my issue.
It's tough to get great technical help these days. To find people that really care and invest in your success. That's what Turnkey IT does. And you can rely on them to take care of everything IT, as if they were right by your side, but without the expense of an in-house IT department. Get to know the local team members at Turnkey IT that continue to serve businesses just like yours, from 1 to 200 employees. A friendly face with a personal touch that's close by and believes your word really means something. For only $7.95 per month, you can have local IT help and forget about dealing with computer and network problems forever.
Leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
You've heard about the great need for workers in the skilled trades. There are many well-paying opportunities today for young people just out of high school and even college. One of those opportunities is with Woodland Windows and Doors, a major operation with a 50-year history providing customers with quality windows and doors from the initial sale to service and installation. Woodland is experiencing growth in their business and are eager to hire both individuals with experience in window and door installation and those willing to learn the trade and work together with their skilled craftsmen. The Woodland tradition is hard work, integrity, and respect for others while providing their valued customers with the service they expect and deserve. They offer competitive wages based on experience, along with paid vacation, paid holidays, 401k, several health insurance plans to choose from, and a company truck. Woodland Windows and Doors has full-time work available now. If you're on the path to the vision of the trades, skilled in carpentry, or willing to learn, call 630-869-1450 or visit woodlandwindows.com.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
Our freedom and security are made possible through the service and sacrifice of our military and first responders. The Gary Sinise Foundation provides many outreach programs supporting these brave men and women. Join us. Donate at GarySiniseFoundation.org.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
What did President Trump promise, and for what? I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That's what House Democrats want to know, as the Washington Post and New York Times report that an intelligence officer's whistleblower complaint about a phone conversation the president had with another world leader involved Ukraine.
This after the Inspector General for the Intelligence Community, Michael Atkinson, appeared behind closed doors before the House Intelligence Committee, refusing, under orders from the Director of National Intelligence, to reveal the substance of the whistleblower complaint, but saying it was credible and urgent.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. The president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, meantime, said on CNN last night that he did, in fact, ask the Ukrainian government to look into Joe Biden's son Hunter's work with a Ukrainian gas company that was at one point under investigation, and whether Biden, as vice president, tried to influence that investigation. California's new state law requiring anyone running for president to release tax returns to get on the primary ballot is now blocked by a federal judge. Plaintiffs representing President Trump, his campaign, and the California Republican Party sued when Governor Gavin Newsom signed that law in July. There could be an appeal of this ruling. A wave of worldwide protests is underway, demanding governments do more to fight climate change. Fox's Simon Owen live in London.
Chris, the rallies began in Australia. Tens of thousands of people, many of them students, calling for reforms.
It seems that the only people standing on the wrong side of history on this issue is our government.
Organisers say so-called global climate strikes are planned in 150 countries heading west through Asia, Africa and Europe before culminating later in New York ahead of a climate summit at the UN. Chris?
Simon Owen in London, thanks. China's foreign ministry now confirms that an American FedEx pilot was detained last week accused of smuggling hundreds of air gun pellets in his luggage. That pilot has been released, but he's not allowed to leave the country. America's listening to Fox News.
.68 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. And good morning. I'm Mike Scott. More than 2,000 nurses at the University of Chicago Medical Center are expected to begin a one-day strike this morning. Kia Griffin will be among the more than 2,000 nurses walking off the job.
This is our passion. This is more than a job for us. It's a career. And so when we have to, monitor and watch the safety and the patients transferred to another facility, it's just heartbreaking.
The work stoppage is scheduled to begin around 7 a.m. A man is due in bond court today after being charged in 2 brutal attacks in July on Chicago's North Side. Adam Bramwell faces numerous charges, including attempted murder and aggravated battery. He's accused of slashing the neck and face of a DePaul University graduate near the school's Lincoln Park campus July 18. Indiana's Attorney General is about to step into the investigation of thousands of abortion remains found in Illinois. The AG has a news conference scheduled for 11 a.m. to update the case. Authorities in Will County say they found over 2,000 remains in Dr. Ulrich Klopfer's garage. Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow.
I tell you, in the 31 years that I've been doing this job, I've never seen anything like this ever. It is a strange, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime things.
The doctor died earlier this month. Authorities are still searching for the bicyclist who shot a woman in Chicago's Fulton River district. Police released new video showing the suspect in a local bike repair shop about an hour before the shooting. Cardinals beat the Cubs in 10. 5-4 at Wrigley Field. The Northsiders slip one game back of the second-place Brewers, who also now have control of the National League's second wild-card seed. Sox visit the Tigers later tonight. The news service of LifeLock with Norton. No one wants to wake up to find they're the victim of identity theft or that malware is compromising their smartphone. LifeLock with Norton now includes protection for your identity and devices. Limited time offer. 30% off your first year, ends October 6th. Join at lifelock.com. Use promo code RISK. 6:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes in communication.
We have got to be willing to talk to each other. And I truly believe that our side is willing to talk to their side, but their side is so unhinged that they just don't want to have the conversation.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Ever wonder why Europeans speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons and award-winning technology can have you speaking Spanish, French, or German within weeks.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Now, try Babbel free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try for free.
Dell has something extra for small businesses, up to 45% off during their semi-annual sale. It's a perfect time to update to Windows 10 with huge deals on business computers featuring Intel Core processors, plus free shipping on everything. Call Small Business Technology Advisors who can help you achieve your business goals affordably with low monthly payments on the right tech for you. Just call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL, or visit Dell.com/business deals for semi-annual savings.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-400-5008. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-400-5008. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-400-5008. 1-800-400-5008.
Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. AM 560 traffic center time. Here is Jim Telemonte.
CTA Red Line trains are running through the subway again between Fullerton and Chinatown. There was an earlier reroute. An authorized person on the tracks near Grand Avenue. South side, there is a fire in a 2-story building at 72nd and Merrill, far from Jeffrey. Outbound Ryan, some lanes have reopened between Cermak and 31st after a major wreck involving a semi. Now only the right lane is blocked. There is about a 5-minute delay, however, in that area. Inbound on the Rhine with scattered delays. We're looking at 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Kennedy, 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Yank, 36 minutes from 390. Stevenson, 44 minutes from 355. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and meteorologist Steve Williams.
More clouds than sun. It'll be warm and humid today. The high near 84. Clear to partly cloudy, warm and humid tonight. Low 68. Sun and clouds tomorrow. Breezy, humid. Can't rule out a shower or thunderstorm. The high at 79. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
68 degrees at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We talked to Jonathan Tobin yesterday from Jewish News Syndicate about the outcome of the Israeli election and who has the best chance to form a coalition government. Is this the end of the Bibi era in Israel? Too soon to tell at that time when we talked to him yesterday morning, although he did say it was more likely than not that you would not see a continuation of Benjamin Netanyahu as the Prime Minister of Israel. Then shortly after our show yesterday,
Benny
Gantz declared victory.
Yeah, he said, I'm the winner. He's the leader of the Blue and White Party.
So there's still a lot of machinations here, as we discussed yesterday. people voting in the Israeli election is just the beginning of the electoral process there, and then you have the political intrigue of putting together these coalitions, which Netanyahu has been so adept at doing for so long. Can he still do it again? Is that just a political posture Gantz is taking, more so than an indication of what the likely power structure is going to be in Israel after this recent election? For insights into those and more topics, we're pleased to be joined again by Caroline Glick. She's the senior columnist at Breitbart News, senior contributing and chief columnist at the Jerusalem Post. Caroline, thanks so much for joining us. Please appreciate it.
Thanks. I actually moved from the Jerusalem Post to Israel Hayom, which is Israel's widest circulation
Oh,
paper
okay.
recently. So just so everybody has an update, and you can also read me at carolineglick.com.
Great, thank you. We'll make that notation. So Caroline, what does Benny Gantz's declaration yesterday mean?
Nothing. I mean, it's wrong. He didn't win the election. I mean, it's true that his party got 2 more seats in the Knesset than the ruling Likud party did. But what Netanyahu did yesterday was he took all of the satellite parties on the right and the religious coalition, the sort of the social conservative religious coalition that he's been governing with for the past several years, and he formed one bloc of 55 seats. So it's not a governing majority, which requires 61 out of 120 seats in Israel's Knesset or our parliament, but it's a bloc that is right now unbreakable, which means that the implications of what he did is that Benny Gantz, whose party did win the most seats, but the center-left parties that he leads only have 44 seats. So he can't form a government. And the only way that he can form a government is to join a unity government with Netanyahu, or alternatively, one of the smaller left-wing parties like the Labor Party, which used to be a ruling party in Israel, can join a Netanyahu government. And if they don't do that, then we're going to have to go to a third election. So that's the implication of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because Gantz doesn't have enough seats to govern, and he won't form a coalition with Netanyahu. So when do you think this third election is going to take place?
I don't know that it is going to take place. I think the public here doesn't want a third election. I think the politicians are exhausted and do not want a third election. And I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on either the Blue and White Party to join Netanyahu-led coalition, or one of the smaller left-wing parties, or specifically the Labor Party, to join coalition led by Netanyahu. I think that it'll take a few weeks, and right now, we're all used to instant gratification and internet and instant communication, but the president of Israel, who's really just sort of like the Queen of England, I mean, doesn't have a lot of duties, but the one duty that he does have is he has to decide the head of which party has the best chance of forming governments after these parliamentary elections end. And so he's only beginning his deliberations on Sunday, and there are another 5.5 weeks before whoever gets given the opportunity to form a government has 6 weeks to do it. So we're at the beginning of a drawn-out process. It could take a little, just a few weeks, but in the greater likelihood it's going to take a couple of months for things to go down one way or another. And if no government is able to be formed, then again, we're going to go to another election probably in December or January, and that'll be taking place. They'll decide about that, and it'll be taking place in January or February or March, depending. So we're really looking either at getting a government formed, which right now looks like Netanyahu will form it in the next several weeks, or we're looking at going to new elections in the next few months.
Is there a particular issue or offer that Netanyahu can produce that would bring over the additional seats that he needs to put together that majority governing coalition?
There is, but I think that a lot of this is just the dynamics of politics. So it depends. If you start seeing splintering in the ranks of the Blue and White Party, which really isn't a party, it's a conglomeration of 3 parties that ran together. So if they start breaking apart, then you're going to also see the Labour Party, which is a faction with only 6 members. So if they join, he would have a 61-seat coalition. They may decide that they want to run and make a deal first. There are deals that can be made with both options, or all 3 options, either all of blue and white, or a faction within blue and white, or the Labour Party, and it just depends whether they're going to willing to do it. I mean, right now, the one position that did win a majority in Tuesday's election was that a majority of the people who were elected don't want to serve under Netanyahu. And so the question is, what price is it going to take for them to change their mind, or whether the Likud is going to oust Netanyahu? Given that Netanyahu is supported by around 98% of Likud voters, the chances of any politician, any lawmaker inside of Likud trying to unseat him is effectively negligible. So if Likud stays stable under Netanyahu's leadership, we're likely going to see either a fragmenting of the blue and white block of 3 parties, or we're going to see the Labour Party joining a government led by Netanyahu.
Are we to read the results of this election as political instability in Israel, or are we to read it as this is just an election in Israel and this is how it goes? Does it at all change how we understand Israelis' politics to be?
You know, unfortunately, I think that what's happening in Israel is very similar to what's happening throughout the Western world. We see it in the United States with the radicalization of the Democratic Party. We see it in Britain with the radicalization of the Labour Party. And we see it here. And what's coming across in country after country is that whereas you used to be able to have bipartisan actions or multi-party actions, across spectrum actions, Labor and conservatives in Britain together, Republicans and Democrats together, increasingly you're finding that even parties that refer to themselves as center-left parties are unwilling, under any circumstances, to work with center-right or right-wing parties. You're getting more and more of a intensification of politics of personal destruction, and an attempt to personalize issues rather than having substantive arguments about issues. As the left becomes more radicalized, it doesn't want to have substantive discussions. So I think that this is something that unfortunately is now afflicting not only Israel, but it's afflicting many other countries in the Western world today. We see even in Australia. I mean, it just everywhere that you see these elections, you're seeing this kind of cleavage and polarization of the domestic political climate that's making it impossible as a practical matter for people to work across the ideological spectrum with one another.
Now, there's no denying the chummy relationship between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Did President Trump help or hurt him in this election?
I think that he helped him at the margins, but I think, one of the problems is that this was an election that the media and obviously Netanyahu's political opponents did everything that they could, and this is not unusual, to hide substantive issues where Netanyahu has done a stellar job as prime minister, and instead, again, make this all about yes or no to Netanyahu. In the United States, you have never Trumpers, and in Israel, we have never Bibis. Bibi is Netanyahu's nickname. And people have become really obsessed with hatred for him. It's most pronounced among politicians. So by personalizing this and making it all about whether people like the prime minister or hate him on a personal level, the substantive issues where President Trump has made such a contribution to Israel's national security over the past year and a half really couldn't get the kind of traction in the discourse that they ought to have gotten.
What's the potential that the Joint List Party, which finished third, it's Arabs, that they could play a role in this, that some like Benny Gantz would be willing to make an alliance there in pursuit of political power and a majority coalition?
So I think it's really important when we talk about the Joint Arab List to understand something that, particularly in the United States, the media has been hiding in a very prejudicial way. For instance, the Washington Post came out with an editorial yesterday where they accused Netanyahu of racism for warning the public that the Arab parties were going to gain political strength because of the high voting levels in Arab cities and towns in Israel. But what people don't recognize, and that certainly the Washington Post has been deliberately hiding, is the reason why this is a concern is not because they're Arabs. It's a concern because the Arab political parties in Israel are all viciously anti-Israel. None of them accept Israel's right to exist. We have people who were elected on the Joint Arab List who have written odes to brutal terrorist murderers on their Facebook page and their Twitter feeds. You have members of the list who are openly supportive of Hamas, openly supportive of Palestinian terrorism and terrorist campaigns against Israel, and applaud terrorist operations after they take place, particularly when Israelis are killed. So these are people who have been elected to the Knesset. These are an agglomeration of three parties that came together to run for Knesset, where there's literally nobody who can be trusted on national security issues because they openly extol the destruction of Israel. So when people say they don't want to have them in the government, it's not because they're, God forbid, racist. It's because they're rational.
And so that would be a bridge too far for Gantz. I mean, they're not part of whatever plays out here because of what you just described.
I think it shows the pathological level of hatred towards Israel, towards Netanyahu on the left in Israel, that there are people who are, generally considered sane, who are urging Gantz to make a coalition with the Arabs in order to unseat Netanyahu, which I just find distressing on so many levels. So I don't think that Gantz will do it. Because I think that there are too many people inside of the center left that would object, and inside of his own governing party, one of the factions in his party is actually a right-wing party that's basically based on hatred of Netanyahu. But he doesn't have a governing coalition with the Arabs because the party, there's one party in Israel that refuses to say which side of the ideological spectrum it's on, which is a formerly right-wing populist party called Israel Beitenu, which is run by the former defense minister Avigdor Lieberman. Lieberman is a populist ideologue of the right, and he's just decided that what he really wants to do is unseat Netanyahu. And he's not going to serve in a government with the Arabs, which means that even with the Arabs, Gantz can't form a government. He doesn't have enough seats.
So right now, as the handle on it is, it's either going to be Netanyahu forming a majority government, or it's going to be another election.
Exactly, that's what it looks like now. Gantz has no path, has no coalition. Nothing. Once Netanyahu set up a block of 55 members of Knesset who are all on the right or in the religious parties, he has no path forward. He has no working coalition.
She is Caroline Glick. Get all of her writings at carolinegglick.com, carolinegglick.com. Caroline, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Yep, and she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get big savings on a furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
If you're age 59 and a half or older with a 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Wealth Management Group today at 833-WMG-PLAN. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can help save you thousands in 401k fees and potentially reduce your risk of a market correction. You've worked and saved, and now is the time to manage your retirement savings. Call Craig Bolanos of Wealth Management Group today at 833-WMG-PLAN. Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Oh, our listeners have helped build MyPillow into the amazing company it is. And now Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, I'm sure you've seen him on his commercials. Well, he wants to give back to the listeners. And you can get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as the MyPillow Body Pillow. It provides the perfect comfort and support for your whole body. It's regularly $89.99, but with the promo code Amy, it's only $29.99. All products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. So go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials box, and get deep discounts on all products, including MyPillows for only $29.99, 30% off mattress toppers, and my favorite, the Giza cotton sheets. MyPillow.com, promo code Amy, MyPillow.com, promo code Amy.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting RADIO to 350-350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds, and the LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes. And best of all, most patients can get back to work the following day.
I had no idea.
The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision. We've performed over 1.3 million procedures. That's experience you can trust. And we're offering 20% off our already low-cost services.
What's that text again?
Text RADIO to 350-350. That's RADIO to 350-350 to schedule your free consultation today.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
It's much, much better now because I can go outside, rake the leaves from the trees and stuff. I know I wasn't getting all the nutrition that I needed because when it comes to vegetables, I'm very picky. And I'm going to stick with it to do as much as I can. And taking those 3 vitamins for the vegetables and the fruit per day really helped me out a lot.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. With these discounts, you will still receive free shipping on every order. This limited time offer will only be available until the end of the week, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, some sad news that some of our listeners may have heard, but we wanted to offer our condolences as well. Kirk Randolph Elder, the brother of Larry Elder, our colleague, died unexpectedly. Suddenly, just a couple of weeks before his 70th birthday. He and his wife, Tresta, this is Kirk's wife, 41 years they were married, had planned a trip to Hawaii where they were going to celebrate his birthday. Great tribute at bizpackreview.com. I posted it on Twitter at Dan Proft, that Larry offered to his brother Kirk, who, if you've listened to Larry's show, you know Kirk was a regular feature on Larry's show as well. He was a Vietnam vet. 4 children, 2 sons, 2 daughters. As Larry writes about him, he loved being a father, had no enemies, everybody liked him. Sure, everybody liked him. He would go down to the local bar and buy everybody drinks. Sure,
oh, that's
of course.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. He just talked about in his eulogy, Larry just talked a little bit about the relationship that he had with his brother. It was obviously a very special one, and he talked a little bit about how his brother was a protector when they were growing up. It's just it's really a thoughtful piece, as you would expect from Larry, and it's a big loss for him and the Elder family. And so, of course, we're going to keep Larry and his family in our thoughts and prayers, and we offer our sincerest condolences on the passing of Kirk Elder.
God bless him. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
New Trier English teacher outs her students at 6:36.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
67 degrees, 629 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. More than 2,000 nurses at the University of Chicago Medical Center are expected to begin a one-day strike this morning.
This is our passion. This is more than a job for us. It's a career. And so when we have to, monitor and watch the safety and the patients transferred to another facility, it's just heartbreaking.
The work stoppage is scheduled to begin in about a half hour. The intelligence community's inspector general refusing to detail a whistleblower complaint for lawmakers. Former CIA Director John Brennan weighed in, saying it raises a few questions.
If it was appropriate in their minds, if it was something that they had no concerns about, why are they making this Herculean effort to prevent it from going forward?
IG Michael Atkinson met with the House Intelligence committee members Thursday about the complaint, which media reports say involved a promise President Trump may have made to the Ukrainian leader. The remnants of tropical depression Imelda leaving some parts of East Texas facing disastrous flooding conditions.
During Harvey, it wasn't like that. We were able to get out. And this way, we weren't able to leave. We weren't able to get out.
Erica Zamora lives in Winnie, Texas, suburban Houston. The 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant, the site of the largest nuclear accident in the U.S., is shutting down today. Pennsylvania plant leaked large amounts of radiation after a partial meltdown in 1979, an incident that brought stricter standards for nuclear power and put 3 Mile Island on the back burner for decades. A man is due in bond court today after being charged with 2 brutal attacks in July on Chicago's North Side. Adam Bramwell faces numerous charges, including slashing the neck and face of a DePaul University graduate near the school's Lincoln Park campus in July. Indiana's Attorney General will step into the investigation into thousands of aborted remains found in Illinois. James Glasgow is Will County State's Attorney.
The only crime potentially that could come of this is if we had a 13-year-old child who had an abortion. The person that impregnated that child would be guilty of statutory rape, potentially.
The Indiana AG has that news conference scheduled for 11 this morning. Chicago sports. Cardinals beat the Cubs in 10, 5-4, so the Northsiders slip a game back of the second-place Brewers, who now have also control of the NL's second wild card seed. Sox visit the Tigers tonight. NFL Thursday night football, Jaguars over the Titans. Fighting Illini open Big Ten play tomorrow, hosting the Nebraska Cornhuskers, while Northwestern hosts Michigan State. And our NIU Huskies have earned the weekend off. The news, a service of Indeed.com, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 6:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
With all the noise and political spin of the news cycle, it's easy for the things that really matter to get lost. Sources with knowledge cuts through all the clutter to bring you biting commentary on the week's events. This Sunday at 3 p.m., your hosts Eric Cohn and Joe Kaiser bring you insight on politics and policy, as well as culture, sports, food, and everything else you need, so you can understand what's happened this week. It's Sources with Knowledge, this Sunday at 3 p.m., right here on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is David Hochberg. If you'd like to pay off debt, call Team Hochberg now about a cash-out refinance. During May, Team Hochberg helped listeners access $953,000 to pay off credit cards, student loans, car loans, medical bills, collections, and IRS tax liens, which saved them close to $19,000 a month. Since January, Team Hochberg has saved listeners over $74,000 a month, which is an annualized savings of over $888,000. What are you waiting for? Call Team Hochberg now to see if we can help you pay off debt and substantially reduce your monthly payments with a cash-out refinance. Think of all the things you could do with an extra $500, $1,000, or $1,500 a month that you'd be saving. Call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
It's much, much better now because I can go outside, rake the leaves from the trees and stuff. I know I wasn't getting all the nutrition that I needed because when it comes to vegetables, I'm very picky. And I'm going to stick with it to do as much as I can. And taking those 3 vitamins for the vegetables and the fruit per day really helped me out a lot.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. With these discounts, you will still receive free shipping on every order. This limited time offer will only be available until the end of the week, so don't wait. Call 800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
6:35. Let's get an update on the roads. AM 560 traffic center time. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Outbound Ryan, traffic is jammed 18th to the Stevenson due to a wreck. All traffic is forced into the express lanes at the Stevenson after a much earlier crash which left some major roadway damage. Inbound Ryan's heavy 34 minutes 95th to downtown. Mount Eden's delays are Toohey to Devon with a crash in the right lane. 25 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose. Kennedy 31 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Eisenhower 36 minutes 390 to the Burn Circle. Stevenson is 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. I-57, 17 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 30. Northbound Tri-State delays are Plainfield Road to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. That's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, more clouds than sun today. Warm and humid, high 84. We've had pop-up showers overnight and some thunderstorms south of I-80 this morning. 67 officially at O'Hare. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering, a Chicago holiday party tradition. For delicious holiday catering, visit tastycatering.com.
They got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Yeah, and we bring ourselves to K through 12. Well, in this case, a 9 through 12 campus. High school. You want to know where these Champaign socialists come from? We've spent a lot of time focused on higher education, post-secondary education. But it's K through 12.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Higher ed is just an extension of that in so many ways. Grotesque extension, often, but just an extension. New Trier High School. You know, long reputed to be one of the best public high schools in the state, one of the best public high schools in the country.
Yeah, we know. Great sports programs, blah, blah, blah.
Today, you've got strikes and rallies and mob action across the world in opposition to science, reason, and industrialization.
Yeah, there's going to be a big, huge rally at Grant Park. And
Right.
my kids are not walking out.
It's going to be led by other children and also those with childlike intellects. And that would certainly include the faculty at New Trier.
Oh, my God.
Some
Are
of them.
they grabbing people and taking them down there?
One civics class. What our climate crisis, what you can do. It's a handout I got. For example, start composting at home. Start a garden. Grocery bags, paper or plastic? ? Neither. Local ban/fee. Buy or lease an electric car. Put rooftop solar panels on your house. Run for office or work for a young candidate.
Oh.
Young candidate. Isn't that
Young
ageist? Why does it have to be a young?
Why does it
Doesn't
have to
matter
be
what
young?
people think. Interesting. One of the best public high schools in the country, I'm told. Meatless Mondays at New Trier.
Meatless what?
what you can do to combat the global climate crisis. Less lawn. Okay.
Less lawn.
Team with environmental geoscience classes. Sure. Team with Go Green Wilmette. Sure. Team with NT Environmental Club / Miss Brennan. Of course. Got to have Miss Brennan. Volunteer at Planned Parenthood or a similar organization.
Oh, that's bad.
Volunteer at Planned Parenthood or a similar organization.
Where you can learn how to sell body parts.
Our climate crisis, what you can do. New Trier High School civics class, volunteer at Planned Parenthood. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you get it now? You think this is all abstraction that we discuss on this show? Do you have any idea what's going on at the high schools in your community? Where your kids are? The grade schools?
This is going to be the biggest day of climate demonstrations in history. New York gave 1.1 million students the okay, Dan, to skip school for this event.
Mm-hmm. Wow. New Trier, sticking here.
Yes, of course.
Freshman English class. There was a discussion of a short story in class about parental influence. And it was like dating back to the first part of the 20th century, the story as I understand it. I forget the author. It's not important. I mean, really, it's not important. But anyway, I think it was about like inter-religious dating, the story. And like, just go with me on this. Okay. It was something like a Jewish woman and a Catholic guy, and did their parents approve of them dating because they were different religions and so on and so forth. And so this led to a class discussion. Okay, fine. How about this class discussion? The teacher made several statements about parental opinions and then had the class stand up. This is at the high school level. One of the best public high schools in the state and the country, so I'm told. Made statements about parental opinions and influence, had the entire class stand up and choose where to stand based on response to statements, including stand on the side of the room if your parents would disapprove of you dating someone of a different religion.
Oh, my God.
Stand
on... None of her business.
Stand on this side of the room or that side of the room if your parents would disapprove of you dating someone of a different race.
Oh, my God.
Stand on the one side of the room or another if your parents would disapprove of you dating someone of the same gender. So you have an English teacher effectively trying to out high school freshmen as gay? Is that problematic? In addition, what's the real exercise here? Parents are a drag.
No, you shouldn't listen to them or respect their authority. That's
Parents,
what that lady's saying.
That's right. Parents are unenlightened. Parents don't have the moral rectitude that you have because you're learning it from me in this class. And so sometimes you're going to have to go against your backward-thinking, knuckle-dragging parents to be the progressive leader that we know you can be. Stand on this side of the room or that side of the room if your parent would disapprove of you dating someone of the same gender.
I would sit down and just say, this is none of your damn business.
This is English class.
Leave me alone.
I'm sorry, you're trumped by the superior intellects and credentials of the English teacher at one of the best public high schools in Illinois and the country, so we're told. Jody in Gurnee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. My daughter is a sophomore in high school, and their civics teacher, made them take a test on where they were on certain values, conservative or liberal. And then he made them, while he exited the room, he made them go up to the board and mark, like on a graph, where they were on the line. So when the majority of the class was liberal, my daughter was ultra conservative. And the teacher came back into the classroom and was trying to guess who was what on the board, on the graph. And then he made them all, he asked everybody that was conservative to stand up. And then my daughter was so embarrassed. There was a couple of kids, and they just felt like they were being called out. And I called the school, and I don't know if anything's going to happen, but so wrong.
Thanks for the call, Jody. I'm glad you're paying attention to what's going on in your kid's school. I mean, I just have to believe, and maybe this is an article of faith and it's just no longer true. It's my sort of last hope for Western civilization. Mm-hmm. I have to believe that if the majority of parents knew what was going on in so many of these schools, and I'm talking K through 12 now, that there not only would be intervention, there would be revolution. If they believed that they not only if they knew what was going on, but if they believed that they actually represent the majority opinion on the topic, that they're not alone in possessing common sense, I have to believe there would be revolution. And some of these educrats and Marxist teachers and cowardly school board members and overpaid superintendents would be out on their ear. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, then God help us. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, you know, you're right with these teachers. Education system. Why are we spending money feeding kids in school when the parents are talking on cell phones and driving nice cars? But anyway, my point was the most disturbing thing with that Nutrier thing with the Earth and all that stuff was, why wasn't an answer, I'm going to come up with an alternative fuel that's going to beat fossil fuel in a free market? That would have been the best answer any student could have ever given.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Joe. That was not on the list of choices. Thanks for the call.
Alternative energy. You put a windmill in your backyard, huh? One of those wind turbines. That would look great up on the North Shore there. Why not?
Absolutely.
I mean, you're going to preach it. You should practice what you preach.
I'm happy to raise all of the homes from, say,
where?
Evanston to the Wisconsin border, west to, I don't know, Waukegan Road. I'm happy to raise all of those homes and commercial properties and put up wind and solar farms. Okay. And, I'd love for Nutrier students to lead the way with me.
They can live in tents. Yeah.
Bob in Wilmette, Nutrier grad.
Yeah, hey, good morning, everybody. This isn't new to Nutrier. I'm a 1977 grad of Nutrier East. And at that time, there was a big controversy of banning Huck Finn because of the N-word. Mm-hmm. And there was a big, kerfuffle even back then with the liberal intelligentsia that was clouding the halls of Nutrier. Also, related, Nutrier is not alone on the North Shore. I have a junior at Loyola Academy, and his English teacher started the year by declaring, I'm a liberal, a Democrat, a feminist. And I took issue with that because that really doesn't have anything to do with English.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the call, Bob. Appreciate it. No, I mean, it's important, the point you made is about banning Huck Finn. So, yes, you allow the Marxists to gain a toehold, and over generations, that toehold becomes the complete foundation of the institution. And so that's what's happened at Nutrier. This has happened somewhere else. Of course, this didn't happen overnight. This English teacher isn't a one-off. That civics teacher isn't a one-off. This has been methodical over generations, and now that's the prevailing opinion, and you have this Marxist curriculum. Of course. And so this is the point. Is, gosh, I wish people would have interceded a long time ago when some of this stuff was being introduced and insinuating itself into the curriculum. Now, there's no need to be cagey about it because we're in the era where where tolerance, acceptance, and celebration are all synonyms. There is no such thing as tolerance if you're not also celebrating. To borrow from Solzhenitsyn, Don't be the first one to stop clapping. The first one to stop clapping goes to the gulag. Tolerance, acceptance, celebration, those are synonymous to the power structure at places like New Trier. Bridget in LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Again, I have a story. This is nothing new. My son, who would have been a junior, senior, 2011, 2012 in high school, there was a debate that had to happen. And he took the conservative part of the debate, and somebody else took the progressive side of the debate, and the class got to blind vote who won the debate. Kid next to him counted the votes. My son clearly won the debate, and the teacher took the toll and said that the other child won. Clearly, the class was outraged, and the teacher held her ground and said, nope, I think this progressive child won.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. The next, and my son after class approached her and said, we know, we saw the tallies. I won that debate. She goes, nope, I don't think that was right. The next paper my son put in there, because he approached her and challenged her, he gets an A on that paper. I read the paper. It wasn't an A paper. I think she was trying to make it up to him, realizing she had done something wrong.
It's all subjective.
Interesting. Thanks for the call. I look forward to that teacher running for
what?
Cook County Clerk.
Oh,
Sounds like somebody who would be great to manage elections locally here. Dave in Downers Grove.
Yeah, Dan. I believe that, we're paying for high school and grammar school to spread their word. I think they want us to pay for college now, not because they're worried about the debt, but they want more kids in the classrooms to twist their minds with their agenda.
That's a good point. Thanks for the call, Dave. Randy in Crown Point.
Morning, guys. I had an instance with my daughter in 7th grade. Now, she's a freshman in university now, where a teacher had the audacity to meet me at my car because I was going to hold my daughter accountable for not having her cell phone on her when we purchased the cell phone for us to be able to communicate with her in her off-hour activities. A teacher told me how to parent. You don't need to discipline your daughter. That is not the right way to parent your child. You need to let it go. And she effectively, or not effectively, but essentially she chastised me for being a parent, trying to usurp my authority and my role. This happens very early. In New Jersey, sex ed in the kindergarten classes by these goofy teachers. That's a law now. Check it out. This is nuts at every level in public education. That's why try and get your kids in private schools. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of homeschool, but it's time that we start taking over by just taking the kids out.
Yeah,
Let's shrink the class sizes by taking the kids out.
Thanks for the call, Randy. I mean, that is the subject of Mary Rice Hassan's recent book we talked to earlier this week, precisely that. Jim on the north side.
Good morning. Obviously, the next thing they're going to need to do is once a week, children are going to have to expose other students for impure thoughts, improper thinking, kids that need political re-education.
Mm-hmm. The lives of others coming to a school near you. Thanks, Jim.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. President Trump says Fed Chair Powell's job is safe. Home sales climbed last month, and Airbnb plans to go public next year. Those stories next.
I'm Bobby Richards with today's 1-Minute Money Report. The New York Times recently reported on an unusual way Americans are making money. They found over 10,000 people who broke the golden rule of investing and became millionaires. The stories included people from all walks of life, including writers, professional bowlers, and blues guitarists, even a set of grandparents.
We broke the golden rule of investing and turned $16,000 into $2 million.
And here's one person who agrees with what they're doing, Warren Buffett. He says blindly following Wall Street's golden rule is just protection against ignorance. And Alexander Green, perhaps the top stock picker in America, told his 140,000 followers that if they break this rule, they can retire on just one investment. His video immediately went viral. You can view it for yourself at onestockretirement.com and decide if you should break the golden rule too. Again, that's onestockretirement.com. If your retirement isn't what you want it to be, go see what 10,000 people have already used to become millionaires.
Paid for by Oxford Club.
Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell's job is safe, so says the president. Despite his many attacks on the Fed this year, the president tells Fox News the chairman's job is secure. Home sharing company Airbnb plans to go public next year. Airbnb began when its founders needed some extra money and put inflated air mattresses on the floor of their apartment, charging out-of-towners $80 a night to rent their places. Airbnb has over 7 million listings now. Sales of previously occupied homes climbed last month. The National Association of Realtors says it was the best performance since March of 2018. Sales jumping 2.6% from a year ago. Mortgage interest rates have remained at historic lows. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
We have some breaking news. Dan, do you want to have the honors here?
Warner Wilhelm, you know him as New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, his nom de plume, has decided to end his presidential.
Oh, that's another one is gone.
I hope someone picks up his faux pas idea, his new agency, to force companies to replace workers' jobs if they replace workers with robots. We talked about that earlier in the week.
Right.
We'll talk about it later in the show. Literally faux pas. I mean, couldn't be more Orwellian. But hey, congratulations, New York City.
He's all yours again.
Yeah, exactly.
He's back on the job.
Enjoy.
Doors or windows sticking, uneven floors, cracks in your drywall. Does any of this sound familiar? Many homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana are experiencing the symptoms of structural issues. Are you aware that these indicators can be signs of damage to your home's foundation? All too often, homeowners pay an expensive consultation fee to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. A certified structural consultant will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Who's got your back? Permaseal. Call them 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325 or go to permaseal.net.
Hey everyone, Ken here. For 2 years now, you've heard Carrie and I use metaphors to test to see if you think your home or your business could use a revenue shot in the backside. Today, because of our new website, I can be a little bit more direct. Income Store has 2 doors. If you have more time than money, you're going to live under door number 1. You're going to see over 400 digital assets, 5 to 20 minutes a piece, that'll teach you how to manage numbers and lead people, or show you 6 growth tips you've never heard of. All of this so you can start growing your home or your business revenue literally immediately. If you have more money than time, door number 2 is going to be for you. You can view some of our managed services, look for more done-for-you packages. 34% of Americans in 2018 visited one of our managed services. Forbes 3 years in a row quoted, Income Store is an expert at generating home or business revenue. If you'd love to explore how to check out adding revenue to your home or business, just go to incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we're talking about New Trier. Let's get one more call in here. Jim and Joliet, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you?
Morning.
Boy, I'm glad to hear about de Blasio. He suddenly stopped itching. Anyway, I just wanted to say there's an old video on YouTube, and I believe it's still there, that was filmed right after the fall of the Soviet Union, and they interviewed a couple of KGB officers regarding what the most successful operation was inside the United States that the Russian intelligence had. And they said by far their most successful operation was infiltrating the American educational system.
Yeah.
They started out at the university level. They got administrators in. They opened the doors for fellow travelers, people that sympathize with the Soviets, with communism, and they eventually worked their way down all the way to kindergarten. And they just infiltrated at all levels: teachers, administrators, whatnot.
Yeah, thanks
And
for that, Jim. we gotta run, but thanks for the call. So successful, they've got a candidate or two running for the Democrat nomination for president in 2020. How about that?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about the climate strike today with Julie Kelly from Am Greatness at 7:07.
But now here is Mike Scott.
University of Chicago Medical Center nurses have just walked off the job in Hyde Park on strike for 24 hours. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
The whistle's making a little more noise. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The Director of National Intelligence isn't confirming any details publicly or to members of Congress, but there's at least a little more coming out about concerns expressed over things President Trump said to another world leader. At the White House, Fox's John Decker.
That whistleblower complaint about President Trump made by an intelligence official reportedly centers on Ukraine. The Washington Post first to report about the complaint involving communications with a foreign leader and a promise that the president made, which was reportedly so alarming that he reported it to the Inspector General of the intelligence community. Yesterday, the IG testified behind closed doors to members of the House Intelligence Committee about the complaint, but committee members say he repeatedly declined to discuss the content of the complaint, saying he was not authorized to do so. Chris?
John Decker at the White House, where the president today is expected to be presented with several options by military leaders for how to respond to what's alleged to be an Iranian attack on a Saudi Arabian oil field.
The president's going to get a list of potential airstrike targets inside Iran, and he's also likely going to be warned any action against Iran could escalate into war. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham's pushing for a military strike.
That will create some amount of pain, so they'll be less likely to do this again.
Some Democrats say American lives shouldn't be put at risk to protect Saudi oil. In Washington, Jill Nato, Fox News.
Some floodwater has started to recede in southeast Texas, but Harris County meteorologist Jeff Lindler says
this continues to be a life-threatening situation. The most dangerous place right now for anybody to be is in a vehicle on any of the roads.
At least 2 people have died, 1 driving, 1 electrocuted and drowned trying to move a horse. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio has dropped out of the Democratic Party presidential race. He didn't qualify for this last debate, and a recent poll had him at 0% in New York. America's listening to Fox News.
Outside skies are cloudy. We have 69 degrees. 7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. More than 2,000 nurses have just walked off the job at the University of Chicago Medical Center and will begin a 24-hour strike. Among them, Kia Griffin.
This is our passion. This is more than a job for us. It's a career. And so when we have to, monitor and watch the safety and the patients transferred to another facility, it's just heartbreaking.
The work stoppage will last until tomorrow morning. A man is due in bond court today after being charged in 2 brutal attacks in July on Chicago's north side. Adam Bramwell faces numerous charges, including attempted murder and aggravated battery. He's accused of slashing the neck and face of a DePaul University grad near the school's Lincoln Park campus July 18th. Indiana's Attorney General is about to step into the investigation into thousands of aborted remains found in Illinois. Will County, Illinois Sheriff Mike Kelly says 50 detectives had to search through hundreds of boxes on Dr. Ulrich Klopfer's property to see if there were any more remains.
So I can tell you in the 31 years that I've been doing this job, I've never seen anything like this ever. It is a strange, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime things.
Indiana AG, a news conference scheduled for 11 this morning. Authorities are still searching for the bicyclist who shot a woman in Chicago's Fulton River District. Police releasing video showing the suspect in a local bike repair shop about an hour before the shooting. Amazon is buying electric vehicles from Normal-based Rivian as a way to target some auto emissions. The company announcing its initiative yesterday. It's part of the internet retail giant's plan to be net zero carbon by 2040. Amazon ordering 100,000 electric delivery trucks from the Rivian plant in central Illinois. Cards beat the Cubs 5-4 and 10 in 10 innings. Craig Kimbrell tagged with a loss. White Sox visit the Tigers tonight. Big Ten football tomorrow. Illinois opens up Big Ten play hosting Nebraska, while Northwestern hosts Michigan State, and Notre Dame will visit Georgia. The news service of Indeed.com, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains what the left is doing to America.
The left has removed God from American life. The left is removing liberty wherever possible. And e pluribus unum, out of many one, they consider that to be white nationalism. We had it too good. And for people to find meaning in life, they have opted to destroy.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Ever wonder why Europeans speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons and award-winning technology can have you speaking Spanish, French, or German within weeks.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Now, try Babbel free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try for free.
Dell has something extra for small businesses, up to 45% off during their semi-annual sale. It's a perfect time to update to Windows 10 with huge deals on business computers featuring Intel Core processors, plus free shipping on everything. Call Small Business Technology Advisors who can help you achieve your business goals affordably with low monthly payments on the right tech for you. Just call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL, or visit Dell.com/business deals for semi-annual savings.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
No one wants to wake up to find they're the victim of identity theft or malware is compromising their smartphone. LifeLock with Norton now includes protection for your identity and devices. Limited time offer. Get 30% off your first year. Ends October 6th. Join at lifelock.com. Use promo code RISK.
7:07 on AM 560, and that means time for a dry basement and a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. Let's check your ride to work in the AM 560 Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Outbound Ryan, traffic is jammed. Roosevelt Road to the Stevenson, where all traffic is forced into the express lanes. There's a major wreck involving a semi, which damaged parts of the roadway. Inbound the Ryan is running about 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Eden's 37 minutes. Lake Hook to the junction. Heavy Dempster to Devon with a crash at the two right lanes. Kennedy, 35 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 15 from Montrose, 10 of the express. Eisenhower, 43 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson, now an hour and 6 minutes, 355 for Lakeshore Drive, 50 minutes from the Tri-State. I-57, 26 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishopport, 36. Indiana Toll Road is heavy, Indianapolis Boulevard to the West Point Toll Plaza. That's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy, warm, and humid. The high today, 84. Clear to partly cloudy, warm, and humid tonight, low 68. A blend of sun and clouds, breezy, humid day tomorrow. Shower and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, a high 79. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
67 at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer. with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. You heard yesterday testimony from teenagers before a House committee discussing the quote-unquote climate crisis.
Oh, please, we don't have to listen to it again, do we?
No.
Okay.
Today is the strike/mob action/rally that is being held in Chicago and around the world. Not the only children weighing in. Al Roker.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Al
Roker, what, has a BA degree from where?
He's got a BA from like SUNY Oswego in communications from 50 years ago. He's got a BA just because he reads weather numbers on NBC doesn't make him a meteorologist or a climate scientist. I hate to break it to you.
He also interviews Hollywood stars too, Dan, don't forget.
There's no question. And he is childlike in the sense not only his intellect, but the fact that he needs to wear diapers.
Okay. I'm eating over here.
He dropped a deuce when he visited the White House a couple years ago after
he sharted his pants, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
after they had to chop up his stomach so that fat tub of goo could get into the studio on the Today Show.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
Ouch. Bing. He was so fat. I was with him in Park City, Utah.
How fat was he?
He was so fat that he struggled to breathe because he couldn't walk up the hill. We were in Park City, and I can't remember the ski slope we were on, but he was struggling. I thought he was going to have a heart attack right there.
He was afraid that he was going to suffer the same fate as Governor Jelly Belly, which is that his legs couldn't support his weight. He was literally starting to break down.
Right. His knees were giving in, honestly. So he got his stomach, half of it surgically removed, and hopefully he won't eat through that.
I know Al Roker's a jolly guy, and we're supposed to be, oh, hail fella, well met. Well, when you write pablum like this, my tolerance level declines. Al Roker at NBCnews.com. Climate change affects everybody. It doesn't care if you're black or white, rich or poor, male or female.
Oh.
Climate change affects everybody. I know we heard you the first time. And the notion that we can ignore it is just foolhardy. We're talking about the fate of our planet, people. We're seeing global temperatures rise at alarming rates. No, we're not. NOAA, again, 15 years, no warming. Okay. We're seeing the world's oceans warming at an alarming rate. We're seeing a growing number of climate refugees. There's not one part of the globe that's not being affected by this, both at a national and global level. There's nothing more pressing. The average person understands this. The average person knows there's something going on. The average American is looking for more leadership from elected officials. We want action. And a Philly cheesesteak. Here's more of this sort of hysteria punctuating the debate, although as all good scientists, Al Roker says the debate is over.
Because they've decided it's over. They've decided there's a problem so much so that everyone's walking off their jobs and out of schools today to protest.
You had a teenager yesterday before that House committee talk about how anxious kids her age are. The nihilism they embrace because they believe the world is going to end. Listen to this CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Company. Listen to this report on how climate change, not the politics, which is the real impacting factor, but climate change, the crisis, is visiting itself upon Canadian children.
Feelings of fear.
My generation is facing a future of economic instability,
uncertainty,
food scarcity, extreme weather events,
and helplessness.
And we, the children, are desperate.
Emma Lim is pledging not to have children. As the impacts of a changing climate creep closer, a recent American survey found most teenagers are frightened, and a growing number of young people around the world are being treated for eco-anxiety.
They don't realize where it's going. It goes straight to the ocean.
Growing up on Prince Edward Island, Paige Martin started feeling nervous about climate change in high school.
When you hear about the plastic and the rising sea levels, Not only us, but you hear a lot of fishermen talk about just how scary it is and how scary our future can look if we don't change our ways.
Doctors say eco-anxiety or fears around climate change aren't irrational. The environment can impact the long-term physical and mental health of children in ways that don't impact adults.
We know that children breathe more air, they eat more food, they drink more water per kilogram body weight.
The Canadian Pediatric Society recently published a list of climate-related threats to children and their bodies, noting heat and cold-related deaths disproportionately affect infants and kids, along with air pollution, contaminated water, the rising risk of infections, and the effects of extreme weather.
It's about being reassuring, but being honest about what's happening and discussing what we can do to be part of the solution.
Julia Woodhull-Melnick studied the toll flooding took on families in New Brunswick last year, sweeping away homes, precious belongings, and peace of mind. Some needed medical help to cope, but for most, a renewed sense of community was vital.
So there were instances of moms taking their, very young children and bringing them to Sandbag for their neighbors.
We were thinking of the secondhand toy sale.
Paige Martin started a nonprofit called Green Everlasting. It's given her back a sense of control over her life and shared responsibility.
They're getting out and taking action because they don't want the world to end up the way it's going.
Channeling fear, hoping they can do better for the next generation of children.
What next generation of children? They're not having children because they're going to save the world. Wow, eco-anxiety. That's a thing now. All right.
For more on Al Roker and the other kids, we're pleased to be joined by Julie Kelly, senior contributor for Am Greatness, American Greatness, amgreatness.com. Julie, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. At one point that would have been a Saturday Night Live skit, right? That wouldn't have been something people would have taken seriously as news.
You have kids.
I do.
Are they suffering? Are there people in their friend circle suffering from eco-anxiety?
It's so painful, I think, for them to talk about that I can't get it out of them. Please tell me your fear about plastic straws and, soil erosion and, all the ridiculousness that I write about in my piece today. And look, if you're a parent out there and you have kids and you're driving them to school or about to put them on the bus, make sure you tell them, your teachers are going to prompt you to walk out of school today for this climate strike. Don't go anywhere. Just sit there in your well air-conditioned school and say a little prayer, thank God for fossil fuels.
Now, is your kid's school, are they participating, though, in the global climate strike?
I'm sure that they will, because whenever there's an opportunity to, please the left, most public schools will do so. So I'm sure that there'll be some, we'll have some email today explaining, allowing kids to express themselves and, they won't be deemed tardy or absent from class, and this is the right thing to do, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sure my daughter will stay in class like she did for the Parkland walkout, which was last year.
I wanted to get to your piece on the topic, too, because, I don't want to go after the Greta Thunbergs of the world and such, but it's not so much going after her, it's going after the adults that are elevating her to
she met with Obama.
Demigod status.
Right.
But you make the point that these kids, whether it's her or some of the kids that testified before Congress yesterday, or some of kids like you heard in that piece from the Canadian Broadcasting Corp, that they're very reminiscent of Patty Hearst.
Right. Right. That's the irony of Greta Thunberg is she's from Stockholm, and she exhibits a lot of, sadly, and you're right, and you can't really be upset at her. She's 16. She'll be 17 in January. But it's enraging to see her behavior at the hands of her climate captors, which include her parents, who are kind of celebrities in Sweden. So this is what's helped fuel her own fame and stardom. But they're exploiting and using her, and she's a special needs child, right? She's on the spectrum for autism. She has OCD. She has eating disorders.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She gave a TED Talk, a TED Talk last year. So this has all kind of happened in the past year. explaining how she first started feeling depression and anxiety about climate change when she was 8 years old. And she started learning about all the, potential catastrophes that were going to happen in the world at 8 years old. And by 11 years old, she was in depression. She'd been diagnosed with all of these disorders. She didn't want to go to school. She had selective mutism. She was so distraught, allegedly, about climate change that it was making her physically and mentally ill. So now they've taken this child, and she's very childlike. I mean, she's almost 17, but she kind of acts a lot younger. Probably because of some of her disorders. But look, she's testified in front of the EU Parliament where she started sobbing on stage about the loss of insects and, the acidification of the oceans. She testified on Capitol Hill the other day, an opportunity, as I say, 99.9% of American teenagers will never have. And she scolded the United States Congress about not doing enough for climate change and instructed them to do better. So it was really that I've kind of shied away from the subject until that, because if you're going to come here as a teenager at the behest of President Obama and all of the other climate propagandists, then I'm sorry, you're going to be worthy of criticism.
Do you think?
And she is, and so are her adult handlers.
Do you think she truly grasps, though, the issues that she's promoting?
No.
She's just
No, I
reciting
watched
lines. And
Yeah, what was her testimony yesterday or the other day, Wednesday? It wasn't testimony. Here, I'm submitting the IPCC 2018 report in lieu of my testimony. You tell me what it means.
That's exactly what she did. She said, listen to the scientists. You're not going to listen to me. Here's the IPCC report, which, I'm sure she herself hadn't read. I'm sure even President Obama hasn't read it. I've gone through enough of those reports, and it's not something that even a young adult could be able to grasp, let alone a 16-year-old girl. But she is the face of now the second generation of young people who have been brainwashed and indoctrinated with climate dogma. It's very dangerous. I mean, the clip that you just played from CBC, this is really what they're hearing from kids. You have psychologists and counselors who are reporting now children and teenagers and young adults coming in so distraught and so feeling so hopeless about the future because of what they've been told, this bogus science about climate change, and they don't understand the backstory, which we've seen the environmental movement do this for 50 years, which is just a way to dictate, authoritarian attempt to dictate people's behavior. And so it's really frightening, but this is playing out, and Greta, unfortunately, is the face of it now.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. So I agree with Tiny Dancer and others on the left who say the Green New Deal is an overreach for the socialists and it's going to boomerang on them in a general election. I agree with that.
Right.
But that's not really the long. I mean, so the short game, they're going to suffer some consequences potentially. The long game is what they're playing, though. And when it comes to, I mean, we're having conversations now. You can't imagine you would have had, 5 minutes ago. Professors talking about we need to sort of get over the taboo of cannibalism as we, the taxing or straight up banning of red meat and so forth, to all under the rubric of climate change, population control coming back, go volunteer for Planned Parenthood to protect the planet, to save the planet. So this is the long game that they're playing, as you said, to indoctrinate generation after generation, because, one more, two more, and, then you've got a majority that are ready to embrace that authoritarian state.
That's right. And, Dan and Amy, I've written about this. I just wrote about it recently, too. One of the conservative movement, Republican Party's biggest failures over the past 20 years was the utter failure to challenge this dogma in any way. I mean, there's plenty of money floating around. There are a few good organizations, the Heartland Institute here, who did a ton of research and tried to get their material into schools and into lawmakers' hands. Republicans just sat on their hands as this, insidious movement took hold everywhere, from public schools to college campuses to Hollywood. Look, the science does not back it up. You just said, Dan, about the IPCC, the 15-year hiatus in warming. We're kind of back to that after El Nino. You had NOAA, which I've written about, doctor up this report right before the Paris Climate Conference that said that there actually was global warming in that 15-year hiatus, but it was made-up data. But there's been very few effective, successful voices on the right to challenge this. And this is what we have now. So now we're going to have a big climate strike today, and kids are going to walk out, and they're going to be brainwashed more. And you haven't heard anyone on the right try to resist this or object to it.
Well, good news is CPS said if you walk out of the school, you're going to be, docked, as an unexcused absence. So
the bad news is you still have to return back to your CPS school if you do. That's the bad news.
I'm just saying, I was surprised that they're not encouraging people to walk out. That's what I was
Yes. Right. Baby steps at CPS, Julie Kelly. Julie, senior contributor for amgreatness.com. Julie Kelly, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Mark Olson.
And Greg Olson.
The boys from Crumweedy Home Pros.
Call Crumweedy! Yep, that's us.
Listen, we know it was a horrible winter,
followed by a horrible spring.
You may have held off thinking about getting your project done with the crazy weather we've had, but we want you to know we prepared for that.
Our pros are ready to work overtime if needed to get your project done before the next horrible winter.
No, not another rough winter. This past one was bad enough.
Call us today, and we'll get it done right, and we'll get it done now.
Call Crumweedy! Whoa, guys, don't forget, we offer 12 months, same as cash. Now, go ahead, carry on.
Roofs, gutters, windows, and siding.
You know you can trust Crumweedy to do a great job and give you a fair price.
630-595-8020.
And watch out for the door-to-door fly-by-night guys. Here today, gone forever. You deserve better.
Call us now for special offers on roofs, windows, siding, and gutters.
Call Crumweedy!
630-595-8020.
Crumweedy Home Pros. We're ready.
Hey, our listeners have helped build MyPillow into the amazing company it is today, and now Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, is paying it back. He's offering deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Here's what you do. Go to MyPillow.com. Take a little look-see for yourself. They have the mattress topper that's 30% off, pet beds, my favorite, the Giza cotton sheets. You can get a MyPillow for $29.99. Give it as a gift. And they have the whole body pillow that provides the perfect comfort and support for your entire body. Regularly $89.99, but with promo code Amy, it's only $29.99. Quite the deal. So go to MyPillow.com, type Amy in the promo code MyPillow.com.
If you're a healthy, self-employed small business owner with income too high to qualify for an Obamacare subsidy, I have good news. Recent regulatory changes have created new, lower-priced health insurance options that are available to you right now. These policies include a nationwide PPO with access to Chicago's teaching hospitals like University of Chicago, Northwestern, Rush, and Lurie Children's Hospital. Did you know that a self-employed husband and wife team can purchase group health insurance that covers pre-existing conditions, even if they have no employees? Are you nearing the age of 65 and trying to figure out the Medicare maze? Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 20-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for 7 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I've said from the day one I can't tell anything about Balance of Nature, but I stopped taking it for about a month, and my back started hurting, my shoulder started hurting, and I said, you know what, I'm going to start my Balance of Nature back up, and sure enough, within 5 days, my back and my shoulder stopped hurting. Isn't that amazing? It has to be the Balance of Nature.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. With these discounts, you will still receive free shipping on every order. This limited time offer will only be available until the end of the week, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of UStore, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of UStore, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
President Trump puts his John Hancock on the border wall. Is that a campaign promise finally being kept? We'll ask Roger Kimball, New Criterion, at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Skies are cloudy, 69 degrees, and 2,000 nurses at the University of Chicago Medical Center have walked off the job this morning, beginning a one-day strike. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio drops out of the 2020 White House presidential race.
I've contributed all I can to this primary election, and it's clearly not my time, so I'm going to end my presidential campaign.
De Blasio launched his presidential campaign back in May. Cities and towns in southeast Texas are barely above water this morning after nearly a week of drenching rains. While some communities are underwater, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner says he expects his city to be open for business.
I want to say that in the last hour or so, we've had no reported incidents of rain, so things are starting to improve in terms of weather conditions, which is good.
As much as 3.5 feet of rain fell on the area. At least 2 have died. FedEx says one of its pilots recently arrested in China. FedEx saying yesterday the Hong Kong-based pilot was arrested trying to board a commercial flight home after making a delivery in mainland China. He's accused of carrying ammunition. FedEx says he had pellets used in low-power air guns that were not metal. A man is due in bond court here in Chicago today after being charged in 2 brutal Lincoln Park attacks in July. Adam Bramwell faces numerous charges. Indiana's Attorney General will step into the investigation into thousands of aborted remains found in Illinois. Will County Coroner Patrick O'Neill says investigators are looking into potential unethical and illegal actions.
Remains discovered were inside a small sealed plastic bags which contained formalin, a chemical used to preserve biological material.
The Indiana Attorney General has a news conference scheduled for 11 this morning, local time, to update that case. The search is underway to find a man accused of lighting a vehicle on fire in Palatine. Police say the fire happened September 8th in the parking lot of a condo building. Investigators have determined that fire was arson. Tickets for the Bulls' upcoming season go on sale today at around 11 a.m. Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-4 in 10 innings. Northsiders slip 1 game back of the second-place Brewers, who now have control of the NL's second wildcard seed. Sox visit the Tigers later on tonight. The news service of Indeed.com, used by more than 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 7:33, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity's tired of the double standard.
They only care about Russian interference if it can be tied to Donald Trump. If they cared about obstruction, they'd be all over the bleach bit, the hammers, and the deletions. If they cared about the rule of law, they would have been all over the Espionage Act and top secret classified information on Hillary's server.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I've said from the day one, I can't tell anything about balance of nature, but I stopped taking it for about a month, and my back started hurting, my shoulder started hurting, and I said, you know what, I'm going to start my balance of nature back up, and sure enough, within 5 days, my back and my shoulder stopped hurting. Isn't that amazing? It has to be the balance of nature.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week's supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. With these discounts, you will still receive free shipping on every order. This limited time offer will only be available until the end of the week, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer is over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. Fall is a great time to check painting off your to-do list. By now, I think I've had my entire home painted by CertaPro painters. They really are the best. You know, CertaPro painters make painting this fall easy and quick. They have more availability, which means you can have your home professionally painted much faster. Cooler weather is arriving, so it is time to think about protecting your home from the elements once again. Have CertaPro painters paint the exterior of your home as well. And with kids going back to school and the family moving back indoors, get excited about cozy nights with a new look from CertaPro painters. Don't put it off. It's time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
7:35 in the AM 560 Traffic Center. Jim Telemonte.
Outbound Ryan traffic is still jammed. Roosevelt to the Stevenson, where traffic is diverted into the express lanes after a much earlier crash. Inbound with scattered delays. The Ryan runs 30 minutes from 95th to downtown. Eden's 21 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 29. Kennedy, 36 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 37. The Eisenhower's 47 minutes, 390 to downtown. 32 from Manheim, outbound 39 minutes to 390. Stevenson, an hour and 16 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. I-57, 26 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop Ford 40. Westbound Tri-State delays are 95th to Ogden, and from the Reagan Tollway much of the way to the Toohey Toll. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. More clouds than sun today. We've already seen some early morning sprinkles and a thunderstorm south of I-80 pass through. Warm and humid for the afternoon, too. High 84. 67 right now. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. Every Saturday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
How would I look walking a dog on the White House lawn?
But I was trying to think who had a cat.
Socks. The Clintons said Socks the cat.
On AM 560.
Well, to be fair, the Clintons also did have a bitch in the White House.
Hey-o.
The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Peter Thiel, the billionaire tech investor, sat down with an interview by the always probing former Reagan speechwriter Peter Robinson. And they talked a little bit about Trump in 2020, since Thiel's been such an outspoken proponent of Trump, and not to mention critic of some of Trump's biggest critics in big tech in Silicon Valley. But Peter Thiel had a warning about the socialists.
The socialists are, not to be underestimated.
Do you?
There's a Marxist theory that the time for communism would come when interest rates went to zero, because the 0% interest rate was a sign that the capitalists no longer had any idea what to do with their money, and therefore there were no good investments left. That's why the rates are zero, and therefore all that you could do at that point was redistribute the capital. And so it doesn't mean 0% rates lead us to socialism, but it is always something that I find it alarming that the rates are as low as they are.
Last question about Donald Trump. Do you expect to endorse him?
Yes, I certainly will not endorse any of his opponents.
All right. Interesting invocation of Marx's theory about interest rates there. I think that's relevant part of the discussion, but certainly when you have presidential candidates now, admittedly, one is a former presidential candidate, Warren Wilhelm, who bowed out this morning, who has provided the definitive statement for the socialists, if you want to define them in one sentence, in this cycle so far. There's plenty of money out there, it's just in the wrong hands. That's what Warren Wilhelm, as Bill de Blasio, has said.
Yes.
And that's what everybody on that stage believes. Or certainly they're proposing policies in furtherance of that statement.
Did we have a moment of silence, by the way, that he ended his presidential run?
We had it a moment of silence equal to the popular support he was receiving before he
Zero. His hashtag.
Before he decided to walk away from his campaign and focus his efforts on destroying New York City.
Right. That's what he's doing. He's coming home to the Big Apple.
Yeah. Congratulations, New York City denizens.
The state of Iowa.
But there's something Thiel is missing, and I know why he's missing it because he doesn't really come from this perspective. But it's cultural Marxism as much as redistributionism and I would say more actually, that's really driving. That's really the driving force on the left, and it's driving this presidential contest and all of those would-be Democrat nominees as well. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Roger Kimball, editor of The New Criterion, columnist for PJ Media, and...
Yes?
Roger Kimball, the newly minted Thomas L. Phillips Award recipient from the Fund for American Studies for his work in journalism. Roger, congratulations on that award. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, I went to the Fund for American Studies program, but I did the...
oh, did you?
I did the political and economic, the comparative political and economic systems, not the journalism piece.
Right.
So that's why I don't have the chops to write for New Criterion. So, Roger, what about what Peter Thiel had to say, and just a larger conversation about not underestimating the socialists? We're watching this play out, the deindustrialization of America proposal, the government takeover of healthcare and elimination of private health insurance proposal, so on and so forth. This is crazy. They're blowing themselves up. Don't underestimate them.
Yeah. Well, I think he's absolutely right. In my acceptance remarks for that, for that journalism dinner for the Fund for American Studies, I actually talk about socialism a little bit and note how bizarre it is that a philosophy and economic theory that has been more thoroughly discredited than any in history should be making a comeback, not only among ignorant college students who, in their ignorance, believe that utopia is just around the corner, but also by members of Congress and presidential candidates, serious presidential candidates. Socialism is predicated on two fundamental goals. One is the redistribution of wealth, and the other is the abolition of private property. And a corollary to those goals is, of course, terror and a police state, because that's the only way you get those goals. I think of Bernie Sanders saying that were he president, he would prosecute fossil fuel executives for the damage they've done. Right. Well, what crime would he prosecute them for? There's no crime. But you see, the socialist doesn't need a crime. It's a crime against the people, the party, and so on. And I think Peter Thiel is absolutely right. I'd forgotten Marx's remark about interest rate. That's worth pondering. But as a broader thing, the revivification of the socialist mindset is really scary. I mean, we haven't seen this since the late 60s, early 70s. And I think it's in a way more serious now, because back in the 60s and 70s, it was mostly people from outside the corridors of power who were fomenting this sort of thing. Today, it's people on the inside. I mean, really on the inside. Major politicians, established organs of opinion, like that former paper of record in New York, whose name, like the name of the evil guy in Harry Potter, I won't say. But this is the establishment, and it's a combination. It is ignorance, but it's more than ignorance. It is malevolence, and you see how they deal with people who they disagree with, what they try to do to people like Brett Kavanaugh, what they do to President Trump's press secretary when she goes out to eat at a restaurant, what they do to people who are registered Trump donors in Texas. This is intolerance on steroids. And the idea that these people can call themselves liberals, of course, is it would be risible were it not so hypocritical. And I think Peter Thiel is absolutely right that we should not underestimate the new rise of socialist sentiment. It's very dangerous and really has to be nipped in the bud.
Since you brought up the New York Times and the Kavanaugh story, well, I'll say
I didn't bring up the New York
I know,
you
I
said it. You said NYT.
Well, I can't say gray lady. I don't know what to say. Jill Abramson, the former editor, was on with Harris Faulkner on Fox, and she was asked, well, how would you have handled the controversy? Number one, the bad copy editing, because it was just an innocent mistake.
It wasn't bad copy editing. It was entirely intentional. That's
right, but they played it off as just an oversight.
Right.
I'd love to hear what Jill Abramson would have done.
This is good stuff here. Wait till you hear the standard now for news that's fit to print.
Okay. I think my move would have been the moves that the Times has made. I mean, no one has challenged the basic accuracy of the story that they published or of what's in the book. It's true that material fact was left out, and the Times ran an editor's note explaining that, which is what you do when you leave something out. But it was no conspiracy to, leave out that fact. It was, unfortunately cut from the piece, as I understand it.
That's just completely ridiculous. That story was it was a tissue of lies and misrepresentations from the very first letter. I mean, what this really was my second cousin's girlfriend's brother's high school roommate. Her cousin knew somebody who said that they saw Brett Kavanaugh do something in a college fraternity 35 years ago. That's the story. I mean, what was the main point of this story was that a guy who runs a nonprofit in Washington called Max Stier, no mention of the fact that he was one of Bill Clinton's lawyers. Oh. None of that. No mention that he's a Democratic operative.
Well, Jill Abramson. Jill Abramson. She addressed that because Harris Faulkner brought that up, and she said, "Well, I wouldn't call him a Democrat operative. He's done many things. It was like Pat Robertson. I'm not really. I'm not a televangelist. I've mowed lawns. It was kind of one of those responses.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. And then it turns out, of course, that the woman who Max Stier refers to has no memory of the event. They didn't mention that either. And there are the 7 people who were corroborated. But that's not true either. I mean, Debbie Ramirez's mother, Kavanaugh was never mentioned. Something happened at Yale. That's what she said to her mother. Something happened at Yale. That's what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Abramson goes on to essentially say, in response to Faulkner's pressing the issue, and Harris Faulkner did a nice job.
Yeah.
She gives the Michael Wolff answer in terms of the news that's fit to print. She said, "You can't prove it's fiction. So if we can't prove it's fiction, then it's fit to print."
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, right. But that's what she said.
That's so irresponsible.
Yeah. People really should bear down on this story because it dramatizes in the most graphic possible way the utter intellectual journalistic bankruptcy of this once great newspaper. It is nothing but a propaganda sheet for the far left wing of the Democratic Party. It is an anti-American megaphone that people should first laugh at and then ignore.
I wanted to get your take on another topic, some good news with respect to the President Trump's agenda and border security being at the top of it. Yesterday, Pentagon spokesman announcing that the $2.5 billion in contracts to construct a border wall along the southwest border in New Mexico and Arizona and California, about 130 miles. Those projects are green-lighted. All of the money has been obligated and is on contract. President Trump down at the southern border putting his John Hancock on a portion of the border wall. Does this constitute a campaign promise that has been kept?
Yes, that's another thing about President Trump. I stopped keeping track of this, but a year or so ago, I kind of totted up the promises that he had made and the promises that he'd kept. It's a very long list. I can't think of another president that has done what everything from moving our embassy in Israel to Jerusalem to the regulatory environment, the appointment of judges and nomination of responsible Supreme Court justices. It's a very long list. And of course, those promises he hasn't been able to keep are because of Democratic opposition. I mean, the border we'd be much further along with this were the Democrats not trying to stymie him at every turn. So I think a week is a long time in politics, as the British Prime Minister Harold Wilson once said. But if things continue as they have been going, Donald Trump is not just going to win; he is going to crush the Democratic Party, and there will be the kind of smoldering ruins that will be left.
Roger Kimball, editor of the New Criterion, columnist for PJ Media, and again, Thomas L. Phillips Award recipient from the Fund for American Studies. Congratulations again on that. Roger, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results may vary. Exclusions apply.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute? That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just text TRY to 350-350. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, text TRY to 350-350. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's TRY to 350-350.
So I texted Peyton and Eli to make sure they don't walk out for this silly climate change. Hey guys, please don't walk out. Texted me back.
Who did?
Peyton, older one. It's not your choice, Mom, but I would never walk out of school for that. Little Tessie.
Little sassy.
You want to go? You want a piece of me? Let's go.
Can I give you a prof parenting tip?
Always.
In terms of what the reply should be?
Yeah. Oh yes. Here. I brought you into this world. I could take you out.
Well, okay. Well, that's a little aggressive. Duly noted.
Okay.
And it is my choice, however, who gets to live under my roof.
It's time for Dan Prof's parenting tips. Whoa, Dan Prof's parenting tips. Whoa, tell your kids to shut up and listen to him.
You're a child. Now, Peyton, since you're staying in class and none of your classmates will be there, why don't you whip me up something? Continue plying your trade as a culinary artist.
Wow. All right, I sent it. Thank you very much for the prof parenting tip.
Here's another one. Northridge Prep. Picture your son after his first year of college. What kind of man do you hope to see? A noble young man who commits to do the right thing simply because it's the right thing and doesn't sass his mom?
I've never, the tone he took, I don't like it.
Northridge Prep builds that kind of man at an open house on Sunday, October 20th. What day? Yeah, exactly. See? Told you, Northridge Prep. Yeah, the word's out on you, Peyton. Sunday, October 20th is their open house. See what makes Northridge Prep the #1 all-boys and #4 best Catholic school in Illinois, according to niche.com. My friends who send their sons to Northridge Prep rave about it. They say it challenges their sons, both academically and to be men of character. It's a good place to be a boy. Northridge Prep is an independent boys' school for grades 6 through 12. Their all AP and honors curriculum produces men who think for themselves. Graduates attend the best universities, including the Ivy League. All the teachers are role models. Nearly half attended a top 20 university. So don't miss Northridge Prep's open house on Sunday, October 20. Register online at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
Are you a writer who's devoted your time to writing a book with Christian morals behind it but need help to get it published? Maybe you wrote a children's book, your memoirs, a devotional, or a mystery with strong moral values at its core. Covenant Books has helped faith-based authors publish, edit, and sell their books through Christian bookstores and major online book retailers. Plus, if you call now at 800-580-1838, we're offering a free author's information kit to help you through the publishing process. Our experienced and dedicated staff will review and notate your manuscript with an editor's eye. Then our page designers will format your book to create the appropriate experience for your readers. And if needed, Covenant's talented illustrators will bring your book to life. Most importantly, Covenant Books will help tell your story by printing, marketing, and distributing your book through specialty Christian bookstores and major online book retailers like Amazon, Apple, and many others. Covenant Books. Let us help tell your story. For your free author's information packet, call 800-580-1838. That's 800-580-1838. 800-580-1838.
Doors or windows sticking, uneven floors. How about cracks in your drywall? If any of this sounds familiar, then you need to do what many homeowners across Chicago and Northwest Indiana are doing, and that is call Permaseal at 800-421-SEAL. All too often, homeowners pay an expensive consultation fee just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-SEAL. A certified structural consultant will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. They've been in business for 40 years for a reason, because they're committed to providing quality, proven products and superior customer service that you deserve. When the work is done, you'll have a transferable warranty along with priceless peace of mind. You know who to call. Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or go to permaseal.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, since we were talking about the Brett Kavanaugh saga and the unbelievably reckless reporting, in quotation marks, by the New York Times, just because the New York Times story has been exposed for the fraud that it was, doesn't mean that Democrat socialists on the Hill aren't continuing to prosecute their case for impeachment of Kavanaugh. Impeachment of Kavanaugh. And one of the Socialist Spice Girls, of course, unsurprisingly, is leading the way. She's our very own. Very own Frances
Parker Spice.
Frances Parker Spice. Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts, by way of Frances Parker in Chicago. She was on.
Her mom worked for the Urban League here in Chicago. Just in case you wanted to
know. Well, great. Chicago roots, which should be no surprise, considering what kind of politician she turned out to be. Her explaining her resolution calling for an impeachment inquiry into Brett Kavanaugh. Now, remember, this is all prompted by a story that has no substantial evidentiary support. We weren't talking about this last week. We're talking about this only because of a book that was released by a couple of New York Times reporters and an excerpt that was published in advance of its release that was stilted because it left out the fact that the alleged victim in this heretofore unheard story doesn't remember her alleged victimization. Kind of a material fact.
Again, it's deeply disturbing that someone that serves on the highest court of the land could have this many allegations. And this is why I filed the resolution to initiate an impeachment inquiry. I say this is the reckoning. And gone are the days we will be complicit and lackadaisical in the fact that this is an epidemic, and survivors deserve healing and justice, and everyone deserves due process. I've filed this resolution to initiate an impeachment inquiry because we need to get to the truth.
It's not going to go anywhere, right? I mean,
the more true. No, it's not. I mean, when you've lost Jerry Nadler,
then you've lost it.
You're in a bit of a pickle in the House. Jerry Nadler doesn't want to be bothered with this. He's got enough time trying to get information out, enough of a difficult time trying to get information out of Corey Lewandowski, for goodness sakes. It's quite the clown show here, but it just shows you how hell-bent they are on the political destruction of their enemies. The evidence is, or the lack thereof, is just a workaround. It's not something that's dispositive of any issues for them, and Ayanna Pressley proves it again.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, the case is closed in Illinois against Dr. Klofer, but some things that they discovered we'll discuss. But now let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
University of Chicago Medical Center nurses have walked off the job this morning. Indiana will now investigate thousands of aborted remains found in Illinois. Lori Lightfoot discussing the environment at a budget town hall. And Carpenter's home run gives the Cardinals a win over the Cubs in extras. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Another Democrat drops out of the presidential race. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio never got any traction. He's done running.
De Blasio making the announcement on MSNBC, explaining that it's clearly not his time and he's ending his presidential campaign. De Blasio says he'll continue his work as mayor of New York City and he'll keep speaking up for working people. He did not endorse any of the remaining candidates, hoping to win the Democratic nomination.
Fox's John Decker. President Trump tweets about de Blasio dropping out. New York City is devastated. He's coming home. More than 1 million school kids in New York today are told they can skip school to attend a climate strike protest that's happening around the world. Fox's Simon Owens live in London.
Chris, beginning in the Solomon Islands and Australia and working west across the world as the day goes on, tens of thousands of people turning out. There in Poland, the protesters, many of them students, saying world leaders aren't taking climate change seriously enough.
In school, I'm learning about the effects of climate change, yet I'm seeing that the people who are running our country aren't doing anything.
Organisers promising events in 150 countries, although not in China, where no rallies were authorised. Chris?
Simon Owen in London, thank you. President Trump, in a few minutes, will be welcoming the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, at the White House.
In the evening, Morrison and his wife Ginny will be treated to a lavish state dinner in a rose garden just outside the Oval Office. This is the first time in 13 years that the White House has extended the diplomatic honor to Australia. This is the Trump White House's second state visit. Last year, the honor was given to French President Emmanuel Macron.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. A federal judge has blocked, at least for now, a new California law requiring presidential candidates to provide 5 years of tax returns to get on the primary ballot. The Trump campaign and California Republican Party sued. The state's expected to appeal. America's listening to Fox News.
Partly sunny skies. We have 69 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. More than 2,000 nurses at the University of Chicago Medical Center walked off the job at 7 a.m. this morning.
This is our passion. This is more than a job for us. It's a career. And so when we have to, monitor and watch the safety and the patients transferred to another facility, it's just heartbreaking.
The strike lasts until tomorrow morning. A man is due in bond court today after being charged in brutal attacks on Chicago's north side. Adam Bramwell faces numerous charges in the Lincoln Park attacks, including attempted murder and aggravated battery. Indiana's Attorney General will step into the investigation of thousands of aborted remains found in Illinois. Will County Coroner Patrick O'Neill says investigators are continuing to look into potential unethical and illegal actions.
He failed to follow Indiana law as to the disposal of the fetal remains under their law. He failed to file the proper paperwork under their law. Those are the two things they're going to be looking at initially.
Will County Coroner Patrick O'Neill. Authorities are still searching for the bicyclist who shot a woman in Chicago's Fulton River District. Police released video showing the suspect in a local bike shop about an hour before the shooting. Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-4 in 10 innings. Craig Kimbrell saddled with the loss. Brewers now control the NL's second wildcard seed. White Sox visit the Tigers later on tonight. Illinois opens up Big Ten football play tomorrow night by hosting Nebraska. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs. From the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Apple's new iPhone 11 goes on sale today. Among the new features, a triple camera system on the Pro and Pro Max versions. There's also a new Apple Watch. It's also the day Apple reveals its renovated flagship Fifth Avenue, New York City store, The Cube. The location has been closed since 2017. The head of the FAA, Steve Dickson, says Boeing still has more steps to complete before the 737 MAX can return to service. Dickson met with Boeing executives in Renton, Washington, and tested the revised software in a simulator. Dickson is a former Air Force and Delta pilot, and he says he wants to personally fly a MAX plane before it returns to service. The Dow dropped 52 yesterday. The Nasdaq added 5. The S&P closed flat. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
It's 8:04. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Tickets for Freedom Summit 2019 sold out in record time in response to the high demand. We've opened up an overflow room for attendees to watch the event on Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest. Overflow tickets are on sale now, but are selling fast. Get yours at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Woodland Windows and Doors, Automated Systems Incorporated, Joe Cotton Ford, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Cromweedy Roofing.
Fall is the perfect time of year. The scenery, the comfortable weather. Be ready to enjoy the outdoors with an upgraded outdoor living space. How about a custom-built fire pit? It's been on the to-do list, but who do you call? When you've got an outdoor project but don't have the time or patience to deal with unprofessional contractors, it's time to contact AM Woodland Outdoor Design. You'll get a professional design team that will show up on time to get the job done. Their expert team will guide you and keep you updated through every step of the process. With so many landscape contractor options to choose from, use a team that shares your values of hard work, honesty, integrity, and patriotism. AM Woodland Outdoor Design would be honored to work with you.
AM Woodland Outdoor Design, proudly serving Lake, Northern Cook, and Kenosha counties, helping make the communities they grew up in as beautiful as they can be. Visit amwoodland.com, that's amwoodland.com, or call 847-224-2167.
Ever wonder why Europeans speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons and award-winning technology can have you speaking Spanish, French, or German within weeks.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Now, try Babbel free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try for free.
Dell has something extra for small businesses, up to 45% off during their semi-annual sale. It's a perfect time to update to Windows 10 with huge deals on business computers featuring Intel Core processors, plus free shipping on everything. Call Small Business Technology Advisors who can help you achieve your business goals affordably with low monthly payments on the right tech for you. Just call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL, or visit Dell.com/business deals for semi-annual savings.
It's 8:07, and in the AM 560 Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
The outbound Ryan has major delays from Roosevelt to the Stevenson, where the local lanes remain closed and traffic is forced into the express after a much earlier crash. Inbound, scattered delays, it's 30 minutes from 95th to downtown. Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction. Kennedy, 43 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, quicker in the express. Eisenhower, 58 minutes from 390 and 40 from Manheim. Stevenson, an hour and a half, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Northbound Tri-State delays are Harlem to 47th and in pockets from the Reagan Tollway to the Toohey Toll. Spot Adams Tollway heavy lead to the Tri-State. Reagan Tollway okay. Veterans Memorial delays are I-55 to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte.
on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
More clouds than sun. It'll be warm and humid today. The high near 84. Clear to partly cloudy, warm and humid tonight, low 68. Sun and clouds tomorrow, breezy, humid. Can't rule out a shower or thunderstorm, the high at 79. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
67 degrees, partly sunny skies at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Build business with Chamber 630, one of the largest business organizations in DuPage County. Marketing your business and connecting clients is their priority. Visit chamber630.com or call 630-968-4050 to join today.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, Will County authorities held a press conference to provide information to the public on the gruesome findings that we've been discussing for the last several days. The remains at the home of Dr. Klupfer, this abortionist who died in September and whose house was the location of more than 2,200 medically preserved fetal remains.
Yeah, we're the first ones to tell you what was inside the cardboard boxes. Each plastic bag contained a fetus. Some were late-term abortions. Some were within the first 3 months. But he took the fetuses, preserved them medically, and then put them in these boxes. But the boxes were stacked from floor to ceiling. And there were, are you ready for this, though? This is what we learned yesterday. These abortions were just from 2000 to 2002.
So 3 years and a body count of 2,246.
At that location.
Right.
Because he owns other properties. He owns a home in Clarkston, Michigan that authorities are going to go through. And what's really disturbing, 15 yards behind his abortion clinic in Gary, Indiana, is a huge storage area that he has, that they have yet to go through. And they're afraid that there's going to be thousands of more aborted babies inside that. Again, my source told me that it was the most horrific thing they've ever seen. And repeating that with Sheriff Mike Kelly.
31 years that I've been doing this job, I've never seen anything like this ever. There were hundreds and hundreds of boxes that we had to go through to make sure there were no more.
And also we learned yesterday he performed abortions on 13-year-old girls and even 10-year-old girls.
He had mentioned during one of his testimonies that he had done an abortion on a 10-year-old girl, and this is public information, in Illinois. And the uncle had raped the child, and they did the abortion, and the parents took her home, and no one reported it.
Yeah, he had a duty to report. That was one of the reasons why the Indiana Medical Board took his medical license.
But the thing that they don't know, and we don't know, and he can't tell us because he's dead, is why he stored all these fetuses for years and years.
It's hard for us to speculate on that simply because it was from 17 to 19 years ago on what, and without being able to talk to him, obviously, because he's deceased, it's kind of tough for us to even speculate what his motivation was to bring him there.
I mean, because you do, in the state of Indiana, there is a law that says you either have to bury the fetus or cremate the fetus, and that does cost money. But on every bag, Dan, was the mother's name and the date of the abortion.
Yeah, I mean, the motive stuff is the least interesting or important thing to me about this topic. What do you think his motive was? You think it's going to turn out, if we could talk to him, you think it was going to turn out to be a redeeming motive? You think it was going to be, oh, now I understand.
Well, he's
no,
crazy. I mean, this is him in 2016 at his hearing.
We're all human beings. We all make mistakes, and we have to deal with the consequences, okay?
Yeah, he just made a mistake.
Yeah.
Please. It's ghoulish. And then now they're transporting all these fetuses. And my friend told me that they're filling it's a semi-truck, Dan, full of boxes and fetuses that they're moving from that home in Crete to the state of Indiana.
2,246. That's a big number. Turns out big number.
I mean, we couldn't even be in this room if all those fetuses were here.
I go back to the words from Ross Douthat, New York Times, that we discussed yesterday with Andrew Clavin. And Douthat particularly taking out after Mannequin Pete from South Bend, since one of the abortion mills was in Pete's hometown there, where he's mayor. Writes Dothat, Klopfer establishes the most visceral of contrasts between the mysticism required to believe that the right to life begins at birth, which is the position of the Democrat Socialists, including Mannequin Pete, between the mysticism required to believe that the right to life begins at birth and the cold and obvious reality that what our laws call a non-person can still become a corpse. What our laws call a non-person, that's what we have in Klopfer's properties are a bunch of non-persons, according to the law, certainly as the left sees it, don't we?
I'm telling you, this is putting a different face on the abortion issue because it's so good, but it's so real.
Those are a bunch of non-persons, and yet they're corpses. They're a bunch of non-persons, and yet you have the sheriff saying, I've never seen something so horrific in my 31 years as a law enforcement officer. Boy, it's tough to square that circle, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And no misinterpretation of a verse from Genesis is going to do it for you there, Mayor Pete. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Dr. Kathy Altman. She is a board-certified OBGYN, fellow of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and she recently testified on the Hill. We want to talk to her about that. Dr. Altman, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Morning. So how did you react to the news of Dr. Klopfer and what he was hoarding, particularly in the context of Gosnell and, amid suggestions, including by me, that you legitimize a ghoulish business and you are going to get ghouls. And Gosnell and Klopfer are not one-offs, I think we'll find over time.
Yeah. I wasn't disturbed, I don't think, as much as many people were. It's more disturbing that many babies were aborted. The fact that he did that just gives us a window into the mind of the abortionist. But his attitude was, that they were not persons. So, he had no qualms about aborting them. So he had no qualms about storing them, especially if it was costly to dispose of them properly. But he didn't see them as persons, so he saw no problem.
Do you see this, though, changing the way, common Americans look at the abortion issue?
I hope so. I hope it makes it more real. It's amazing to me to speak with people and they'll say, oh, well, abortions are only done in the first trimester, or, that just doesn't happen, especially with babies born alive. Oh, that doesn't happen. I'm just hoping that this will bring more light to the problem and the fact that these are little people.
You testified on legislation regarding that latter matter of babies that are born alive. You testified on behalf of the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. And what is it that you wanted to and did communicate to legislators on the Hill?
Well, I think the first thing is that this law or this act is not about abortion. This act deals with babies that survive abortion. It does not put an impediment in the way of abortion. It simply protects babies, if they survive abortion, from being discriminated against just because they were originally slated for abortion and were unwanted. And the act would require that the medical personnel treat them with the same care that they would any other baby born at that gestational age, and that they be transported to the hospital. And one of the things that I brought up at the hearing was that this also protects medical staff, because as I was doing some research for the hearing, I realized that, or I came across several stories of nurses who were devastated by the fact that they had to watch these babies die, and the abortionist would not allow them to call, call for help or resuscitate the babies or anything. And several of them left the abortion industry after that because they just couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
So
left nursing
this would
after.
protect people.
Yeah, left
we have a
nursing
few
after
on-
that, like Jill Stanek at Christ Hospital here in Chicagoland, who was one of those medical professionals of whom you speak.
Right, exactly.
So what happens if the abortionist or doctor fails to do this, to provide aid and care to the child once it's born?
He becomes governor of
Well,
Virginia.
There are criminal penalties for doing that and for not reporting, but there are no penalties for the woman, for the mother.
I wanted to address. I'm not sure if we did last time you were on the show, but I think these are always so important. We've had Dr. Tony Levatino on the show before, and he's talked about his conversion on the issue of being somebody who conducted abortions to somebody who would not do that anymore. You're in the same camp on that score, and I wonder what your conversion moment or story was.
Mine was a little more dragged out. The beginning was after I delivered my own baby. I think I made that baby fetus connection. And even though I had done abortions while I was pregnant, almost to term, after I delivered my baby and went back, I realized that I could no longer continue to do abortions. The fact that the baby was unwanted was no longer enough justification for me to kill it. It wasn't until later, though, when I saw in my practice young women doing actually very well after keeping their babies. Their lives weren't destroyed the way I thought they would be. And then seeing other women who had had abortions and seeing the consequences of those abortions physically and psychologically, that I began to question whether abortion should be I'm sorry. It's early in the morning here.
Sure, yeah.
I began to question my views on abortion.
So
and
I mean,
finally
yeah,
it was finally it was someone giving me an article that compared abortion to the Holocaust. And I realized the reason that they could do what they did was because they didn't consider their victims as human beings, just as I did not consider my victims as human beings.
She is Dr. Kathy Altman, board-certified OBGYN, fellow of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and I'll tweet out the piece from cnsnews.com as to her testimony on the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act as well. Dr. Altman, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Townstone Financial is synonymous with great rates, low closing costs, and phenomenal service to the thousands who have completed purchases and refinances with us since 2002. Hi, my name is Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
I'm Christopher Nowak, a real estate agent with Castline Properties here in Chicago. When a buyer contacts me with questions about the loan process, what type of loan products are available, it's easy for me to put that buyer in touch with Townstone Financial, and specifically Zach Schwartz, Barry Sterner, the whole team over there at Townstone. I have confidence that the team at Townstone is going to make me look good. The result at the end of the experience is that the customer is always happy with the service they receive.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110, or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
Hey, the weather is changing. It's getting cooler outside. It's getting darker earlier. Soon the leaves will start falling off the trees. Yes, autumn begins next week. And for you, that may mean a drop in your energy level, or maybe you're having trouble sleeping, or maybe you've got seasonal allergies. No matter how you're feeling, I know that you're not getting enough fruits and veggies in your diet. Pumpkin spice in your coffee doesn't count as a vegetable, folks. So it's time to get healthy and do what I and Justin Kosick have started doing, and that's take Balance of Nature We take it on a daily basis. 6 capsules of Balance of Nature. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. And you hear stories right here on this station about how people's lives have dramatically changed by taking Balance of Nature. Well, the next story could be yours, but you've got to order Balance of Nature today. Receive 25% off your first preferred Balance of Nature order, plus get a set of convenient travel bottles that contain a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. With these discounts, you will still receive free shipping on every order. This limited time offer will only be available until the end of the week, which is today. So don't wait. Call today, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results may vary. Exclusions apply.
But hey, I'm buying a huge flat screen TV so I can finally see it without my glasses.
Why not just get LASIK at the LASIK Vision Institute? That's what I'm doing.
My glasses and contacts are a pain. I'd love to finally get rid of these, but who can afford LASIK?
You can. Because the LASIK Vision Institute is offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. Just text TRY to 350-350. The LASIK Vision Institute has already performed over 1 million procedures. They use the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for a fraction of what others charge. Better vision, better value. The LASIK Vision Institute. Make this the year you finally get LASIK. For a free consultation plus an extra 20% discount, text TRY to 350-350. You'll see for free if LASIK is right for you. That's TRY to 350-350.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy.
What'd you do last night?
Well, I went to the Cubs Cards game.
You went to a Cubs game and you didn't invite me?
I was an invitee.
Fine, whatever. Yeah. Next time you say "and one," please.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed my experience. Let me give you 2 highlights. The only thing I enjoyed was really enjoyed John Flaherty's pitching to shut down the Cubs. And I enjoyed Matt Carpenter's home run in the 10th to win it for the Cards. I enjoyed that. I'm flying my W flag today.
Oh, okay.
2 things. Wrigley Field. Standing in line for 15 minutes to get a beer behind a couple of dudes talking to the bartender about whether they should get a margarita or a strawberry daiquiri. I mean, a strawberry daiquiri at a baseball game. Gay! And I assume they went to the next line to get their veggie burger, so the daiquiri could wash that down. Then, in the bottom of the 9th, when
we tied it up,
the Cubs. Well, you didn't. You weren't playing, but the Cubs did.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when the Cubs tied it up.
Yeah, they tied it up 4-4. You know what the rally song was?
Celebrate good times. Come on. No. I don't know.
YMCA. YMCA is the rally song after you tie up the game in the 9th.
They normally play that when they have pitching changes.
I mean, seriously.
Did people wait? Did Cub fans seriously do the YMCA? Did they do the dance?
There was a moment the weekend when they I can't remember which was the ESPN game, but the ESPN commentators were noticing how little attention the fans were paying to the game.
Yeah, it's just the world's largest beer garden.
It's the world's largest something.
Hey.
Noticing how little attention the fans were paying to the game. One of the ESPN commentators said, "These fans suck."
Oh. Did he really?
It's so true. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It really is just
it is.
obscene.
And everybody's on their phones.
Yeah, and the women sitting in front of me.
We're taking selfies.
They're the women Bill Burr was talking about in his Comedy Central, or in his Netflix, I should say, stand-up routine. Yeah.
Which part? Well, what were they doing? I want detail.
Well, they're just. I mean, and so were the male feminists sitting next to them. They're just the champagne socialists, the leftist white women and men, and women impersonating men or men impersonating women. I don't know. Can't keep track of all.
Did they watch the game at all?
Yeah, they were bouncing around. And, I mean, it's just I mean, that really is just such
Are they drinking bubbles?
It's just
I love when they say, I'm going to bring the bubbles. I don't know what that means. I don't drink bubbles.
It's just such a ridiculous place. Comiskey Park is better food.
Yeah. I will give you that, definitely.
They're soon to have a better baseball team. It's much less of a hassle to get in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question. Well, I mean, there's a third fewer fans, so that helps a lot.
You can always get a ticket. Never sold out.
And, I mean, it's a different sort of fan there.
Do they have strawberry daiquiris for sale?
I don't know.
At the South?
You will get beaten up. You will get hit with bats if you are a man and you're trying to order a strawberry daiquiri anywhere there. As well you should.
And they were really deciding between that and a margarita.
The only thing I would say...
Classic.
The only thing I would say to the positive...
Yes, please.
If you're interested in such things, and
good baseball?
I'm not. No, I am interested in good baseball. The women spilling out of their clothes in Wrigley Field, at Wrigley Field,
yes,
spill out of their clothes in a different way than the women at Comiskey Park spill out of their clothes.
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll switch gears and talk about geopolitical matters like the drums of war being beaten in the direction of Iran. David Hendrickson, who's an international politics professor at Colorado College, joins us at 8:38.
And the chilling new PSA, the back-to-school warning from Sandy Hook parents. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Partly sunny skies, 69 degrees. More than 2,000 nurses have walked off the job at the University of Chicago Medical Center in Hyde Park.
This is our passion. This is more than a job for us. It's a career. And so when we have to, monitor and watch the safety and the patients transferred to another facility, it's just heartbreaking.
The work stoppage is scheduled to end until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Just moments ago, 9 barges broke away from their moorings and slammed into the Interstate 10 bridge along and underneath the San Jacinto River Bridge in Houston, forcing that bridge to shut down. As much as 3.5 feet of rain from the remnants of Tropical Depression Imelda has fallen on southeast Texas this week. So far, the storm is blamed on 2 deaths. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's presidential campaign is over, but he says he still has a lot of things to get done.
So we're going to take it the next step with early childhood education. We're going to do 3K, 3-year-olds will get an early childhood education, a guaranteed health care model. If you don't have health insurance, you get a health care card, and you get a primary care doctor.
De Blasio's long shot for the Democratic nomination began in May, but never gained any traction. Day 5 of the GM strike. Negotiators for the UAW and the giant automaker are said to be making progress toward ending the strike. A man is due in bond court today after being charged in 2 brutal attacks in July on Chicago's north side. Adam Bramwell faces numerous charges from the Lincoln Park attacks. A Kane County jail inmate is accused of attacking 2 guards with a makeshift weapon made of pencils. Kane County Undersheriff Pat Gengler says Fabian Torres of Sleepy Hollow asked for a book and then attacked 2 officers as they opened the door to give it to him. One officer suffered puncture wounds to the face, the other a severe cut on the nose. Over the protest of a majority of parents, the Northwest Suburban School District is considering a major policy change that would let transgender students use locker rooms that align with their gender identities. The issue discussed at a Palatine-Schaumburg High School District 211 board meeting last night. No decision was made. Tickets for the upcoming Bulls season go on sale today. Fans can begin purchasing tickets for all regular season home games online or by phone at 11 a.m. Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-4 in 10, so the Northsiders slip a game back of the second-place Brewers, who now also control the NL's second wildcard seed. White Sox visit the Tigers later on tonight. Fighting Illini football tomorrow in the Big Ten, hosting Nebraska, while Northwestern hosts Michigan State. Our NIU Huskies have earned a weekend off. The news, a service of Indeed.com, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 8:33 is our time, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says the president just keeps delivering.
One would think minorities of all kinds would be loving the jobs numbers. I mean, this so-called racist president just keeps delivering economic gains for black Americans, for Asians, for women. A whopping 6.3 million jobs have been created during the Trump administration. Now, does that count for anything?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer is over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. Fall is a great time to check painting off your to-do list. By now, I think I've had my entire home painted by CertaPro painters. They really are the best. You know, CertaPro painters make painting this fall easy and quick. They have more availability, which means you can have your home professionally painted much faster. Cooler weather is arriving, so it is time to think about protecting your home from the elements once again. Have CertaPro painters paint the exterior of your home as well. And with kids going back to school and the family moving back indoors, get excited about cozy nights with a new look from CertaPro painters. Don't put it off. It's time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Or call 800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get big savings on a furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
We're back on TV and bigger than ever.
Folks just love our incredible deals.
Just yesterday, I got attacked by paparazzi.
Really?
But I think the groupies are the worst.
Wait, groupies?
I know, right. All the Highland Park groupies we have now.
I think you're sniffing too much Tiger air.
I think you're right.
Right now, lease a 2019 Fusion SE 4-door with AC and Ford Sync for just $325 a month and 0 down. Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore.
We're Al and Marty. Deal with us.
It is 8:35 AM 560 Traffic Center time, and here is Jim Telemonte.
Up on Ryan, traffic is jammed from around Roosevelt to the Stevenson, where all traffic is forced into the express lanes. An earlier wreck left some major roadway damage with some exposed wires. This may take hours to repair. Inbound, you're looking at 30 minutes from 95th to downtown. Eden's 19 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction. Kennedy, 44 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. A little quicker in the express. Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes, 390 to the Circle. 46 minutes from Manheim. Stevenson, an hour and a half from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Northbound Tri-State delays are Harlem to 47th. Then from the Reagan Tollway to the Toohey Toll Plaza. Eastbound Adams Tollway's bottled up from Toohey to the Tri-State. And that's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, more clouds than sun today. Warm and humid, high 84. Currently 73 degrees. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
See Michelle Malkin, Sean Hannity, and Laura Logan at Freedom Summit 2019. Tickets on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We have a few geopolitical matters to address before we allow you to scamper off to your weekend festivities. One of them is this news that broke yesterday. Perhaps sort of the next scandal in waiting. Perhaps not. We don't know a lot. Washington Post reporting a whistleblower complaint filed with the Inspector General in the intelligence community that suggests, per this whistleblower, that President Trump made some untoward statement or untoward offer maybe illegal offer.
Or some type of a promise.
We don't know. Ostensibly to the newly installed president of Ukraine. This follows a House Intelligence Committee investigation into whether or not the Trump administration, one of their many investigations, whether or not the Trump administration tried to pressure the newly installed Ukrainian president to provide information as to Vice President Joe Biden's activity in Ukraine while he was vice president on behalf of his son Hunter, who had an interest in an energy company in the Ukraine that was run by some Ukrainian plutocrat. And here was the reaction. I thought this was the most interesting reaction. The reaction from President Trump, this is fake news. I didn't do anything wrong. I know people listening on the calls, including our people, for making informed intelligence estimates. And so I would never say anything reckless or inappropriate on a call where I know there are other parties, both our people and their people, whoever they are that I'm speaking of or speaking to. So, you know what you're going to get from Trump. You know what you're going to get from Adam Schiff, chair of House Intel. But Philip Mudd, who is a veteran of the CIA and a CNN counterterrorism analyst, his exchange with Fredo Cuomo on CNN, I thought, was informative.
Boy, I'm about ready to blow a gasket. Can you explain? That is extremely unusual. And I listened to presidential phone calls when I was an official at the White House under George W. Bush in 2001. Can you explain to me, A, why it's the U.S. intelligence community's responsibility to listen to the president of the United States speaking to a foreign leader, and B, why the U.S. intelligence community, under the rules provided by the Democrats in Congress, are responsible to report to the Congress what the president of the United States says? Last I checked, Chris, when I served, we're responsible for chasing the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, and terrorists. We're not responsible for reporting to the Congress what the president says. He can say what he wants, Chris.
So you don't like that somebody snitched on the president?
Correct. The question, if you have a whistleblower issue in the intelligence community, might be, is somebody misusing funds? For example, is somebody seeing something about covert action overseas, that is CIA operations overseas, that's inappropriate? For example, when I was in the business, we ran black sites, secret facilities. Mm-hmm. Did somebody see something that was not only unethical and immoral, but
in-house
illegal?
Policing.
Correct.
All right. So
not what does the president say?
All right, but now hold on a second. Well, what if he did say something to a foreign leader that sounded like a promise that went over the line enough that somebody of good conscience said he's not supposed to say things like this?
Well, pardon me, what the heck is over the line? The president can say what he wants to Putin. He can say what he wants to Kim Jong-un. He can say to Kim Jong-un, which I think is completely over the top, I'm going to go meet you in the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, despite the fact that we don't have any real agreements, as far as I can tell, on nukes and missiles. The president can say what he wants. It's not the responsibility of the intel guys to go police the president and go snitch on him to the Congress.
For more on this topic, as well as the continuing tension between the Saudis and the Iranians, all in the context of an Israeli prime ministerial election, we're pleased to be joined by David Hendrickson, who teaches international politics and American foreign policy in the political science department at Colorado College. He's also the author of the book Republican Peril, American Empire and the Liberal Tradition. Professor, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
So what's your reaction to not just what Phil Mudd had to say, but to this whistleblower lawsuit and the coverage of it? Whistleblower complaint and the coverage of it, I should say.
Well, I wish I knew. I actually have not. I just saw that headline this morning.
Okay.
And I don't think it's a big deal based on what I've known. I think the much bigger deal is the impending war with Iran, which I think probably is about 1,000 times more important.
Well, let's talk about that then. I mean, Lindsey Graham is doing his best Mark Antony impersonation, crying havoc and wanting to let slip the dogs of war. Is Lindsey Graham right?
Well, he's flirting with some very serious dangers because we've gotten ourselves into a situation in which the United States, over the past year, has effectively declared war against Iran. People don't realize that, but we've tried to asphyxiate it. You know, we're trying to cut its oil exports to zero, and Iran has historically depended for, its revenues, its export earnings on oil. That's 80% of it. So we're trying to, as I say, deprive it of oxygen. And under those circumstances, we're going to get pushback from them. And so escalation under those circumstances will lead to further escalation by Iran. And, that puts the president's re-election in peril, and it puts our economy and a lot of things in peril if we start trading, I'll blow up your oil refinery and you can blow up ours, and we'll see how that affects the world supply of oil.
Next thing you know, they'll be blowing up our water supplies or the water reclamation plant here in Chicago.
Well, I don't think it's going to go that far, but we have to focus on the fact that, they used to have, 2 or 3 million barrels of oil a day for export. Now they're down to about 100,000. And that's a huge change. And so, the Iranians are in a very tight spot in which if they just can't go with the status quo. And
But isn't that the point of sanctions? The point of sanctions is to impose consequences on bad actors to get them to change their bad actions, and it's working. So why should we let any pressure off?
Well, I don't see that it's working at all. How is it working?
Well, I mean, in terms of exactly what you just said, it's pushing the Iranians into more dramatic action because they're suffering under the weight of those sanctions. Why should we engage? Why should we allow them any relief from that?
Well, the purpose of it was to get a new nuclear agreement. We haven't gotten that. We're very far away from it, further away than we were when we had the agreement, because the Iranians are now going to probably slip out of it. And so the objective was to get a new nuclear agreement. They're very far distant at this point. And, the demands that we put on the Iranians were basically that they stop having a foreign policy and obey us. Well, those sorts of demands only kind of get fulfilled at the end of a successful war. We're not there. And I think that if we do have a war, it's likely to be unsuccessful, in the sense of forcing them to kowtow to what we're demanding.
Well, go ahead. Let me ask you this, though. I mean, the goal, as you say, a new nuclear agreement, was that the right goal in the first place? Because a new nuclear agreement with Iran, sort of like a trade agreement with the Chinese, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Well, I don't think that's true. I mean, the Iranians adhered to the agreement that Obama reached with them. Trump didn't charge. There really wasn't a violation. I mean, all the people who looked at it said that they were adhering to it. The Trump people just said it's not a good agreement. And I think it was a good agreement. It was the best that we could get under the circumstances, and the alternative was something like the situation that we're now in, and where we're trying to deprive them not only of a nuclear weapon, but even the capability of building one theoretically. No scientists, no enrichment of any kind. And, the Iranians have rights under the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty. And so we're saying, no, you can't have those. And that's a very extreme demand, and, it produces this sort of confrontation.
So what is the approach that we should be taking then?
I think we should go back to the Iran agreement that Obama negotiated and give up on this oil embargo. I don't see that the end road as leading to anything other than something that's actually very dangerous for our interest, the world's interest. Oil is the lifeline. And if you have a tit-for-tat war between Iran and the United States, trying to determine who can destroy the most in the way of oil facilities, you could have an economic crisis of huge dimensions.
Well, that economic crisis, the threat of that has been reduced greatly over the last couple of decades thanks to LNG and new oil deposits that we found here, where America is much more energy independent. In fact, we're the largest oil producer in the world now than it was back in the day. So, I mean, the threat of Iran blowing up Saudi oil fields just doesn't have the same impact as it once did.
Well, no. I mean, if you cut 5 million barrels a day from world production, you get an oil price of, I don't know, $300 a barrel, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Over time you can make up with that kind of loss, but in an immediate crisis, you can't.
What about letting this?
So, that would be really great for people in Texas, but I'm telling you, people in Chicago who are looking at paying $8 for gas wouldn't think the same way, and it would still produce a recession. It would produce a recession throughout the world. These oil shocks always do that. And we're not as vulnerable as a country to that as we once were, because we, as you say, we've become a big oil producer. But you're still it would still be a gigantic mess if you got a price explosion as a result of the tit-for-tat war.
The politicians in Chicago will get us to $8 a gallon here before the Saudis do. Let me guarantee you that, Professor.
Okay, then how about 12 after they put all their taxes on it?
So what about the suggestion that has been made in some policy circles as well as by some Republican Pauls that basically green light the Saudis to strike back at the Iranians if they're so convinced that the Iranians, through the Houthis, level those strikes against the Saudi oil fields? Let it be a Saudi versus Iran bipolar conflict in the region.
Well, you'd still get that result that I'm talking about, which is a tit-for-tat war over these oil facilities. And I don't think that the Saudis, I really don't think it matters all that much. They're, our dependent. So it would be very difficult for the United States to just turn aside and say, oh, well, they're having a big war over there in which they're blowing up all this oil stuff. So,
well, what about economic sanctions on Iran? Is that making a dent at all?
Well, we've already, it's making a huge dent. That's put us in this situation in which, they're desperate because they don't have oil exports and they want to get those lifted.
How do you navigate the relationship with Netanyahu, or if it's not Netanyahu, whoever the next prime minister of Israel is, with respect to our joint commitment to oppose that Obama nuclear deal, which both Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump believed was a glide path to a nuclear Iran?
Well, Gantz is in favor of that agreement. So,
but he's not going to be the prime
I don't
minister.
think anyone can really predict how this Israeli, the formation of the government there is going to go. They're kind of in this bind where it's very difficult to see how they can put together any kind of governing coalition because, all the parties have these non-negotiable demands.
Right.
And so I don't know how that's going to turn out. But it is interesting that that the alternative to Netanyahu has a more favorable attitude towards that agreement. So if he becomes PM, that could change the dynamic in certain ways, because that Israeli demand that, we get out of the nuclear agreement has been an important factor in the U.S. attitude.
Speaking
so
of
that could be significant.
Speaking of Israel and Iranian compliance with the terms of the Obama deal, didn't Israeli intelligence uncover a cache of information from the Iranians that suggested that they were continuing their nuclear program, that they were not complying with the agreement, and that this was exactly what it was predicted to be, which was a glide path to a nuclear Iran? Didn't Bibi go public with a bunch of information to that effect?
Yeah, but the intelligence that they got related to things that the Iranians did 15 years ago, and so I don't think it shows a lack of compliance with the existing agreement as of 6 months ago or something like that. The Israelis, have said this, that the Iranians aren't complying, but a lot of other people said that they were, and I think that the UN inspectors who've gone in and looked at it have provided pretty good evidence that they were within the terms of the agreement.
I don't know. My default position is to be more trusting of our allies than our enemies. And I would, that's me.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm just saying, we have an alternative, which is to go to war with Iran or to try to make peace with it in some way. So take your pick. We can easily go to war with them. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. It's just the difficult thing is figuring out a way to win it.
Well, yeah.
And, you tell me what the war plan is that wins it.
Well, yeah, I don't know that that necessarily sort of the formal declarations of war and bombings and troop deployments and those sorts of things. And I'm not sure that Iran has the capacity to inflict as much damage as you're suggesting. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz and the burning of Saudi oil fields, doesn't present an existential threat to me.
Well, how much oil does the world economy lose as a result of that? That's the big question. And, it is true that back in the 80s, you had a big war in the Gulf, and the Iraqis bombed the heck out of Karg Island, where the Iranians export their oil, and the Iranians managed to keep it up. So, you could imagine refineries and such getting blown up, and that not dramatically affecting oil exports. I mean, that is what happened in the 80s. But, you also have a new class of weapons now that are a lot more accurate. And as in this recent attack, the Iranians targeted, I'm assuming that they were the ones that did it, they targeted these critical nodes within the Saudi refineries. And so no one really knows how that would go, but I don't want to find out, because I think that it could, you're talking about some very serious risks, and we would be affected by it. If you got a loss of 5 million barrels a day from the Gulf, as I say, you're going to get an oil shock big time, in which the price would go up double, more.
I'm sorry.
That's a big deal.
He is Professor David Hendrickson, teaches international politics, American foreign policy in the political science department at Colorado College. Also, the book, Republican Peril, American Empire and the Liberal Tradition. Professor, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's great talking to you.
You too. Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, look at this.
Why are you on your phone? We have dinner reservations.
I'm getting a quote for life insurance from Ethos. Just look.
Wow. I thought it would be more expensive.
A friend told me about Ethos. It's a new, straightforward kind of term life insurance that offers policies for any budget. Let's do an estimate for you.
Do we have time?
You just answer 4 simple questions to get an instant quote.
These are easy questions.
And there's the instant quote.
Seriously? That was really fast.
I know, right? And the online application only takes about 10 minutes. No pushy agents. And in most cases, no medical exams. It's perfect for us.
Can we apply right now?
Why not? And after dinner, maybe we can celebrate.
You know what? Ethos is perfect for us.
Ethos is ethical term life insurance. Straightforward and super fast. Don't put it off. Go to ethoslife.com for a free instant quote now. ETHOSlife.com. That's ethoslife.com. Nothing speaks louder about an auto dealer than a happy customer. And at Joe Cotton Ford, they have many.
It's like my family. I never go anywhere else than Joe Cotton Ford. If I have to buy a car, I always go first Joe Cotton Ford. And they have best service ever, and the best price, and the best models.
My overall experience is great. It's easy to buy, it's easy to go through service, and overall, it's just a great experience.
More reasons why folks keep coming back to Joe Cotton Ford. It's Truck Month at Joe Cotton Ford. Get a great deal on an F-150, the best-selling truck for 42 straight years. Joe Cotton Ford has over 40 F-150s to choose from, with up to $15,000 off XLT crew cabs. All built Ford proud, built Ford tough. All incentives applied. Stock number T9205. Celebrate Truck Month at Joe Cotton Ford, Gary and North Avenue in Carroll Stream, or at joecottonford.com. joecottonford.com.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I've said from the day one I can't tell anything about Balance of Nature, but I stopped taking it for about a month, and my back started hurting, my shoulders started hurting, and I said, you know what, I'm going to start my Balance of Nature back up, And sure enough, within 5 days, my back and my shoulder stopped hurting. Isn't that amazing? It has to be the balance of nature.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Receive 25% off your first preferred purchase of Balance of Nature. Plus, get a set of convenient travel bottles containing a free additional week supply of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. With these discounts, you will still receive free shipping on every order. This limited time offer will only be available until the end of the week, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
I've been, corrected a couple of times from listeners about calling the YMCA the Cubs rally song as opposed to the song that's played when the opposing team changes pitchers. When you tie it up 4-4 in the bottom of the ninth, I don't care whether they're changing pitchers or not. It's a rally song, and you're playing the YMCA as your rally song, number one. Number two is, why the hell do you have the YMCA
They always use it for pitching
as your
changes.
pitching change?
Because maybe go back to the YMCA. I don't know.
It's fun to say at the YMCA. How is that? What was that?
But everybody was dancing right and doing this horrible dance.
Yeah, right. And they all had Indian headdresses and, leather attire on, too, interestingly enough.
Thanks so much for making us part of your weekend. Your week, excuse me. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, who is
Wrigley Field organist.
There you go.
Gary Pressey retiring.
I know. That's
too.
why Quinn's going to take over.
I know.
Here is Mike Scott.
University of Chicago Medical Center nurses expected to strike this morning. Lori Lightfoot discusses the environment. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
The Man Down Under. I'm Chris Foster.